side of me open that I never noticed. We are the future, ride for the culture. Put my dirty clothes on the lines of a notebook. Never hide from exposure, show you nobody is unbroken.
Remember my name. You see my face every breath that you take. Just when you think I was torn down in flames, I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. You will remember. Yeah, you will remember. Yeah, you will remember. You will remember. Yeah.
I'm unstoppable. Came too far to be barred by an obstacle. That's not an optional. What they call hard is like riding a bicycle. I'm phenomenal. Feeling like I could do what a mythological guy could do. Power is optimal. It's my time to make impossible and impossible.
Remember my name. You see my face every breath that you take. Just when you think I was torn down in flames, I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. You will remember. You will remember. Yeah, you will remember. You will remember. Yeah. I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. Remember my name. You see my face every breath that you take. Just when you think I was torn down in flames, I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. You will remember. You will remember. Yeah, you will remember. You will remember. Yeah.
Back in the city, it's time, ain't no turning back. Rewind, it's all or nothing, put it all on the line. I see it, I want it, I take it, it's mine. It's a Super Bowl. Who you got, who you rooting for? You remember with us, yeah, we toe to toe. Look and see them, they shook, man, they losing hope. Sin City, but I got with me, yeah, the pressure on, still calm in me. All the blood, sweat, tears hard on me, but the highs and lows making harm in me. Hold up, whoa, y'all are not hearing me, whoa. It ain't no fear in me, I hear them cheering. 60,000 in the stands, 100 million tuned in. It don't get any bigger than this. It don't get any bigger. It don't get any bigger than this. Touchdown, do my dance, whoa. 60,000 in the stands, whoa. It don't get any bigger than this. Couple ends with the NIL, you could tell my opponent I wish him well. A big deal with it, can't you tell? Got him maxed out in the NFL. Couple rings and mementos. Whole team keep it 10 toes. Got my head high at the same time. Keep my head down, gotta stay low. Sin City, but I got with me. Yeah, the pressure on, still calm in me. All the blood, sweat, tears hard on me, but the highs and lows making harm in me. Hold up, whoa, y'all are not hearing me, whoa. It ain't no fear in me, I hear them cheering. 60,000 in the stands, 100 million tuned in. It don't get any bigger than this. It don't get any bigger. It don't get any bigger than this. Touchdown, do my dance, whoa. 60,000 in the stands, whoa. It don't get any bigger than this. It don't get any bigger. It don't get any bigger than. Touchdown, do my
Tonight on Countdown to Green, we look back at week 1 of the Great Lakes Gauntlet. The crew gets you set for the semifinals and finals. And we've got wheels to give away with Logitech G. All of that and more coming up on Countdown to Green.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Countdown to Green, presented by Logitech G for week 2 of the Great Lakes Gauntlet for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by the Play vs. College League, live from the virtual Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. I am James Pike. So happy to be joined by you and my partners up here in the booth, Taylor Burris and Joe Peak. TB, big night on hand. Big night, I think, so far as the point standings are concerned in this. And big night for Connor Yershak, trying to go for 3 tournaments in a row.
I mean, you're talking about an incredible opportunity about what we're about to see here tonight with Connor Yershak. But I have a feeling with just how things we saw last week during the qualifiers, it's going to be a little bit more different and open the door for some heavy hitters to come in and show that they're here to play. They're here to make sure they get the top spot for the scholarship.
Big time names coming into this to try and keep Yershak at bay. Joe Peak, Parker White, a former Coke Series champion, has made it into this week, and there are a whole host of other talented drivers at a track that really can sort of play into your style. You're not locked into one lane at Michigan, and you can go where you want to or need to get some track position.
Yeah, I mean, we already had our round at Daytona, and that's considered a bit of a wild card, but I think you have to remember that Michigan can do that too. We saw that from last week in the preliminaries. It seemed like you could easily get caught up in trouble, or you just need to play it strategically and keep yourself in range and strike when the iron's hot. So this is going to be one that will test drivers. It's not just whether you're fast, it's whether you're smart.
Lots of things that these drivers are going to have to manage over the course of the evening. But before we get into it, a reminder for those who've not had a chance to dig into it themselves that NASCAR 25 is available now on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and Series S, and Steam. And the Gold Edition features the full base game and the Season Pass, which includes a variety of in-game currency and bonuses, as well as multiple DLC packs offering over 230 paint schemes and fire suits. You can visit NASCAR25.com for more information on how to get your hands on the newest console game. Also, want to remind you that registered drivers who complete at least one attempt in one of the time attacks for these College Series tournaments will automatically be entered for a chance to win a racing prize pack, including a Logitech G923 True Force racing wheel and pedal set for the Xbox or PC, iRacing credits, and an eNASCAR College iRacing Series t-shirt. And more information and the full set of rules are available at pcl.gg/pages/eNASCAR. So plenty of ways that you can get involved in the College Series. Before we get into the action tonight, let's recap where we've been. 3 tournaments already down and a half now. We started in Charlotte in September, then went to Daytona, then to Iowa, Michigan tonight, Martinsville next, Homestead, Miami on the slate, and Taylor Burris. This is our new format for tournaments in this season.
Absolutely. So just to give you an idea of how busy it was last week during the preliminary rounds, over 310 schools registered to try to see if they could be part of the 120 drivers to qualify for the tournaments that we had last week, which was then broken up into different splits for each driver, where we take the top 39 who will advance to this week. We're now going to then go through some LCQs and semifinal rounds to make it a 39 car field to a 25 truck field, where the top 6 will then get the chance to go for the scholarship money tonight.
Of course, we've got our schedule as well, and like I mentioned, we've already been at Daytona. We started things off over at Charlotte with the Queen City Crown Harvest Cup at Iowa, then followed up by the Great Lakes Gauntlet. But let's not forget, things are going to continue to be tricky, because next time out, it is off to Martinsville for the Old Dominion Classic. And then, it's tradition. You got to finish anything NASCAR up at Homestead Miami Speedway for the Sunset Splash.
And especially anything eNASCAR in that sense, Joe. But Martinsville, we've got a major wild card next, in the sense that we have not seen Martinsville an eNASCAR competition in quite some time throughout all the world of eNASCAR. Now, here's our bracket for every single tournament. Tonight, we are focusing on the blocks you see on that graphic in orange. Everything in yellow and red and blue we completed last week, so tonight it's the 3 semifinals, the last chance qualifier, and the final round. Between the semifinals and the LCQ, we'll whittle 39 down to 25. And as Taylor said, 25 drivers will have the opportunity to race for the scholarship money and the greatest amount of points and the opportunity to potentially claw back Connor Yarashak's lead in the standings. So, before we get into the final pieces of the Great Lakes Gauntlet, let's take a look, Taylor Burris, at what happened within these groups. We saw a lot of 3 and 4 wide racing and a lot of really talented drivers representing a wide variety of schools from across the country.
Absolutely, James. I mean, we saw some heavy 4-wide action here. We saw some returning favorites such as Daniel Falkingham, Parker White, and of course we saw some returning drivers who looking to try to find their way back up to the front of the field. Dylan Basin, one of them as well, as we went through our qualifiers and heat races. Of course, Bradley Erickson, another strong competitor who we saw work his way through. He had a great fight in his heat race competition. Heads up with, of course, another Michigan driver who is now trying to work his way through to go back-to-back here. But so far, Yarashak definitely the one to watch.
Connor Yarashak, very good, was very strong, got the wins in both his first and second round races last week. Joe Peak is part of the reason why he has a points lead, but he's not the only one that showed some speed in the Irish Hills last time out.
Exactly. And there's, like you said, there's some heavy hitters that are coming in this time. Parker White's going to be a name that we hear mentioned a lot, but watch out for the potential cautions that we saw a lot of times on the backstretch, either through cars tangling like we saw there or getting loose off of turn 2. That was a common theme all throughout, of course, with UConn winding up making their way to the top. And there you see Parker White on his way through. Daniel Nanny, Dylan Alt. There's definitely some names that are going to strike a little bit of fear into those that are maybe here for the first time.
Some big-time names. Basin, who won the first tournament in Charlotte. Daniel Nanny's been competitive every single time we've been out on track just about. Nathan Scott has been a bit of a dark horse. Carson Bowers has first and second round wins to his credit. Jose Schildes Jr. turned in arguably his best performance of the season. He was the UConn Husky that got the second round win in his group 1 week ago. Jackson Anderson representing Oklahoma State. Just a lot of really talented drivers. And Logan Clampett, the defending champion, also going to take to the track this evening. Get a good look here at Frascon and Edward Sanchez and Aaron Brown making some practice laps here before we get going. Con representing the University of California at Santa Cruz Banana Slugs. Easy contender, I think, Taylor, for one of the best mascots in all the college series tonight.
Absolutely, James. I mean, we saw how much he had to fight his way through to make sure he made it into the semifinals. As we see Aaron Brown out there having a little fun. He's always someone who's right there in the top 10 if he's given a shot. Keep an eye on him. So please don't wreck, gentlemen, as this is only practice.
But to say, it does hurt your ability to gain data the way you need to if you end up fencing it at this point, Joe. Yeah, a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, but hopefully they've been doing plenty of practice before now. I think the thing that strikes me is seeing drivers that are simply happy to be here. So I feel like a lot of times we get a little frustrated sometimes seeing sim racers being ultra serious, unemotional when we turn the cameras to them. So to see someone laughing and enjoying themselves, that to me says everything you need to know about this tournament and how the drivers are having a good time.
That 3-truck group has made it a 4-truck group now, as Dylan Basin has made it into the mix. But we'll let them get back to practice, and Taylor Burris will take a look at tonight's Logitech Z track analysis.
Absolutely, James. This track here, located in Brooklyn, Michigan, just up in the Irish Hills, is a 2-mile circuit, 18 degrees of banking. This track here has provided many amazing forms of motor racing throughout its decades of history here. Some of the fastest speeds we'll even see at the highest levels of NASCAR racing. Of course, last time we were here, it was a University of Michigan winner, Matthew Zwack, who took home the win, and he's looking to see if he can find his way into the finals here today.
Matthew Zwack is indeed one of the drivers that is going to have an opportunity to potentially win and defend what was a single race last time out, what would be a tournament title this time around. Lots of storylines that we can look at going into this evening. So let's take a moment to dig into those a little bit and talk about that, Joe.
Exactly. 7 new schools make the semifinals, including University of Maine at Augusta. Wichita State is in there, Bismarck State College. The real big thing, 38 of the 39 drivers are from unique schools. It's extremely competitive. There is no one school that has a stranglehold.
Absolutely, Joe. And one of those schools that we have to talk about is the rivalry of UNOH and UNCC. These drivers brought a total of 8 trucks last time out, and only 3 of them transferred. So it just shows you the competitiveness of every single driver. UNC Charlotte really has struggled to get into the finals. UNOH has brought a couple of drivers. So far, I would have to say the University of Northwestern Ohio is the one who is at the top of the leaderboard with their competitors. And Joe, I got to say, it's so many other things to talk about. 7 new drivers.
Exactly. New drivers getting here for the semifinals for the first time. Real quick, Parker White, Lane Graves, Chris Treppa, Dylan Bam, Nick Dyer, Michael Pollock, and Faraz Khan. You might say Parker White, well, this is his first time competing here in the eNASCAR College Series this time around. So that's why it's his first time. It's a little bit of a strange stat, but that does mean that everybody's going to have to be watching over their shoulder with a former champion taking part.
Former winner, too, as we also have to talk about some of the different states that are represented. 6 states have brought 3 drivers in to take on some of the biggest names in colleges. Michigan, of course, well represented with 3 drivers. Maine, California, Illinois, New York, and Virginia. Some of the biggest names in motor racing all about to do battle here, and it's going to be an exciting one. Only thing I got to say is we did have some good representation during the qualifyings from Texas, so hopefully we'll have that happen in the near future.
This is a look at the point standings. We talked about Connor Yarashak's lead, and I think the wildest thing, Joe P, look at this. Connor Yarashak's won 2 of our 3 tournaments so far, and yet he still only has an 18-point lead over our defending champion Logan Clampett. And you look even further back, the top 11 are all within 50 points. So this could swing wildly. For whatever reason, Yarashak does not have a good race today. All of a sudden, this becomes a fight again, in spite of how good he's been so far.
Yeah, and you mentioned Logan Clampett as well. He is one that is usually incredibly fast. With him only 18 points behind, Connor cannot relax out there. I'm also watching out for Dylan Alt. Daniel Falkingham, who has been super quick lately, has also been in the Coke qualifiers and has been doing well over there. So there's a few drivers that will be jumping at the chance to take this opportunity to get back in the hunt.
Plenty of opportunities for these drivers to get into it. Plenty of opportunities for these drivers to make something happen. Joe Peak, before we get going into this, what's the one thing you're looking at entering tonight?
Keeping it together, keeping your nose clean. I think that's the big thing. Michigan sneaks under the radar a little bit compared to the traditional super speedways. So I think staying out of trouble and just biding your time until it's time to go is the way to approach it.
Taylor Burris, what's on your eye entering week 2 of the Great Lakes Gauntlet?
Clean air is going to be a big thing, I have to say, for these drivers here. We saw that last week. The driver who got out front, who got that clean air, they were able to pull away even with the help of drafting going on all around them, and also be balanced with your aggressive levels. We saw that 4 and 5 wide action last week. We're bound to see it again. It's a matter of when you pull the trigger to come out and move through the field.
It's time to see which drivers are going to take to the Irish Hills and capture this moment and not let it slip. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with week 2 of the Great Lakes Gauntlet for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Welcome to Sunday at Full Throttle. Oranges don't whisper, they roar.
This is where you remember what it's like to feel something.
Heart racing with your people. Screaming your damn lungs out. Let's go! So America, start your engines!
Racing isn't just a game. It's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo! My turn, Bubba.
Feel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
Hey, now's the time, the kid on the rise, the top spot, when I see it, it's mine, I celebrate, yeah, I'm taking a fine, I can't tame, can't put me in line, gotta focus, standing on business, it's no emotion, full speed with it, can I coast to the championship, brain toast.
Welcome to week number 2 of the Great Lakes Gauntlet in the Irish Hills of Michigan. 39 drivers are looking to cruise to victory and take home $3 grand in scholarships.
Your time is now, whenever I can't look back, it's mine forever, the record is stacked, I ain't gonna let them into my back. Your time is now, whenever I'm making it count, counting the times they counted me out, straight out the mud, I'm making it out, I gotta get it, the time is now.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to iRacing's coverage of Week 2 for the 4th tournament in the 2025-26 eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by Play vs. College League. The Great Lakes Gauntlet, live from the virtual Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. An incredibly exciting night we have on our hands here at the Irish Hills. I'm James Pike, joined this evening by Taylor Burris and Joe Peak. Taylor, Michigan is fast, it is wide, it is full of plenty of places where you can find chaos, but it's also a track that can produce some really great racing too.
It certainly can, James, and it's going to provide with some great racing action for us here tonight for each and one of these college drivers representing their colleges, looking to try to find a way to prevent the Great North from basically dominating this season with, of course, Connor Yarashak and the Dinos are really putting on a drive, but we have a couple of other heavy hitters coming out to play here today, and they're going to put on a show for us for sure.
Names like Clampett and White and Nenny and a whole host more, Joe P, going to try and stop Connor Yarashak from going 3-for-3 in 4 tournaments in this season.
They got their work cut out for them, but like we keep saying, this is a place where anything can happen. I think the big thing also is going to be looking at your momentum out there. We'll often see them take so many different lines, but that high side is a huge slingshot off of the corners.
High side showed a lot of speed last week. We'll see which drivers were taking notes and paying attention, whether or not that factors in this week as well. But plenty of storylines that we'll be watching over the course of the next maybe hour and a half or 2 or so as we work our way from 39 drivers to 25. And then ultimately to 1 driver that will take home the Great Lakes Gauntlet. This is our tournament bracket for the Great Lakes Gauntlet. We have started last week by covering all the races represented by boxes in yellow and red and blue. So this week is exclusively about the orange. What does that mean? 3 semifinals in which the top 5 drivers advance. The rest of the field will go to an LCQ. 1 race from which the top 10 will advance, and that will give us our 15 plus 10. That will make up the 25 drivers that will go after it in the finale for the right to claim $3,000 of scholarship money and be the champion of the Great Lakes Gauntlet. That is what's on the line for these drivers. Taylor Burris, let's review how we're getting there tonight.
Well, we had a preliminary round of qualifiers here where 310 schools registered, 120 drivers separated by less than a tenth of a second were battling it out there. We moved on to the first round of the tournament where we took 120, dropped it down to 39, and tonight we're going to take those 39 and, just like we said, drop it to 25 drivers to make the final race, where the top 6 earn a little bit of scholarship money, which will come in handy for each one of these drivers here today.
Scholarship money is the big piece, points are the big piece. Now, that's something I think worth noting, Joe Peak, is that every driver is going to score points tonight if they made it into week 2 towards the season-long standings, but obviously you're going to get more points if you can make it directly into the final.
Maximize your results. That's always key in racing. You want to try and get the most points you possibly can in every time. Sounds obvious, but it's always easier said than done.
A lot easier said than done, I think, especially when you got so many talented drivers in this field. Let's take a look at our locator. We'll show you which race we are going to start with. It's the first semifinal that is on tap. You've seen these names. You've seen these drivers. You're about to see them get after it. Parker White on pole. Matthew Morton from the Ohio State University would love to take some territory and some wins from that place up north, as they like to call it in the Buckeye State. Jonathan Evans, Abraham Villa, Adam Garza, Jack Stoneman from UNOH, also in the first 3 rows.
Jake Innes from Belmont LB College, alongside Jeremy Burns from Longwood University, Jacob Bradley from Purdue University, Indianapolis, and Lane Graves from Wichita State University. Round out your top 10 with Timothy Holmes and Connor Berkey in row 6. And, of course, Faraz Khan from the UC Santa Cruz Banana Slugs will be the final driver in this semifinal 1.
Top 5 are going to have the opportunity to get after it and get into it. Taylor Burris, for the first time this evening, let's look at our Logitech G race analysis.
Absolutely, James. We're going to have 15 laps around here, 30 miles. It's a fixed setup, so it's all based on the driver's skill. We're going to take the top 5 to advance to the finals here tonight. Well, then 6 through 13, you got a second chance in the LCQ.
One chance if you don't get it here, but you really want to try and be top 5, and that's where I think the battle is going to be. That's where I think our eyes are going to be for a good chunk of this, Joe Peak. I'm looking right where Jack Stoneman, Adam Garza, Jake Innes, Jeremy Burns, all drivers that are right on the edge of this that are going to have to try and race their way in. They're going to have to pass a few trucks in order to lock in a spot into the finale. While we are waiting for these drivers to take to this track for their lone, call it 3/4 of a lap before we go green flag racing. A reminder that iRacing Arcade, the all-new arcade racing title from iRacing Studios and Original Fire Games, will receive its long-awaited release on Steam Tuesday, March 3rd, $24.99. You can go ahead and pre-order it on Steam now. Console release coming later this summer. That game looks like it is going to be an absolute blast, Joe Peak.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm probably going to be one of those that gets it right at release, and I've been enjoying the demo. You can go and play it free for now if you want, but the full thing coming up very soon on March 3rd. So mark your calendars, add it to your wish list, of course.
You also play the demo now if you want. So if you want a little taste of what's coming, if you want an opportunity to potentially get a feel for what is going to come or not, go ahead, download the demo, see what's what. In the meantime, Parker White, representing the University of Maine at Augusta, is going to lead this field to green. Matthew Morton, Jonathan Evans. Here's the thing, Taylor. Just looking at this group, every single person in this semifinal has some form of college series experience.
Absolutely, James. Every single one of them has made it to the finals one way or another, whether it be this year or in previous seasons. So we're talking about some of the top colleges going head-to-head.
Getting ready to get after it for 15 laps of racing in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Parker White leading the field to green, representing the University of Maine at Augusta. Pace car makes the hard left-hand turn down onto pit road. White gets going. We are off and away, and it actually wasn't the best start for Parker White. Matthew Morton able to hang decently to the outside of White's Toyota Tundra as these trucks begin to come up to full song. Joe Peak.
Yeah, and it'll take a little bit before the momentum is fully up there, so you're going to see them hang out low on this first lap, but then it will drift up a little bit like we were mentioning before as they try to use that slingshot maneuver. But these trucks also like to get super loose throughout the session. This is going to be short, but you will see them try to just hold onto that rubber a little bit.
How low can you go, I think, is going to be a really big question for a lot of these drivers, Taylor Burris, because we saw the outside lane carry a ton of speed, especially as these races progressed and these drivers got more worn-out tires. Really, it was the middle and the outside that found the speed once we really got rolling into these races.
Yeah, it really did as we go on board with Parker White here. He's going to stick to the bottom because of how fresh those tires are, hugging that yellow line and that paint. But then we'll start to work his way up through their track. When we get into the longer races of this later on here today, get a nice push down the back straightaway from the drivers here as Matthew Morton to the front of the field.
Matthew Morton in control of this by maybe a truck length and a half over Parker White. Jack Stoneman with a good run. Abraham Vila there. We saw him not afraid to use the rear decklet of his truck to get a spot. There goes Stoneman doing the same thing through the block on Jeremy Burns. Adam Garza not really with anywhere to go. Jake Ennis right up on the wall as they work their way back to turn one.
Yeah, right now I think these drivers who are second, third, fourth, and fifth, they're not panicking. You still got a little bit of time. And, of course, you have to remember, you got to watch that cut line. That is where you want to be. If you don't win it, it's not the worst thing in the world. It'll help you come the feature, but it's a risk versus reward. How much do you really want to get up that 1, 2, 3 spots?
How much do you try and push it? How much do you drop underneath somebody to try and complete a pass versus holding that high line where we're seeing a lot of these drivers go? Parker White's not afraid to make a move to the inside of Matthew Morton. He goes for the race lead. Everybody tucked in the line behind him.
Great pass down to the bottom of the racetrack for Parker White. Morton staying in that second group. Everyone else moving up to third or fourth lanes here around this circuit as they head down the back straightaway. Morton gets a good run off corner exit. Gonna push Parker White. He wants to try to work with him, get some separation, and make it a two-horse race.
Parker White continuing to pace this field now. He's got Morton by a truck length. Stoneman, Vila, Ennis in line. And then a great battle. Jeremy Burns, Jonathan Evans, Timothy Holmes. They're all looking for spots. They're 3 wide in the middle of this pack.
You're going to see a lot of this. Most likely is things got a little bit tense back there with Burns at the bottom of that trio. Remember what we said. You really probably don't want to be running the bottom line for too long because the truck is going to get quite squirrely. I do love this about these college races. They get watch parties going. Look at this. Belmont has a whole bunch of fans all there. And eventually they're going to notice that they're actually on screen here.
Exactly. Yeah, there's the reaction from a lot of the students at Belmont Abbey College and Belmont, North Carolina. Neat story with the rig on Jake Ennis. Over the course of the past week, the program got together and they went out and they got all the equipment. And over the past 48 hours, they built the rig that Ennis is driving in now and trying to race his way into a top 5 spot, the automatic place in the finals. Timmy Holmes looking to the inside, but again, Taylor Burris, we're seeing it. That outside lane, even if you might not necessarily have the outright speed, if you can push your truck up there, it makes it really hard to complete a pass at the bottom, and Holmes sees that. He follows suit and just tucks back in line.
Yeah, it really is. That truck's going to get a lot more tighter as this race progresses. How about this down to the bottom lane? Graves fighting with Timothy Holmes for the 6th spot, trying to see if he can get the 2-for-1 special, getting around Jake Inez for the 5th position. So far, can't quite clear him, but now here comes the run back on the outside.
Everybody looking for spots here. That's the hard thing. You can get down to the bottom, but it's almost like you're sort of falling out of the draft as if you were in a plate track almost. And if you're going to complete a pass, you are really going to have to send it. And that's exactly what Timmy Holmes did. No hesitation with the big stop there in the middle of the corner to get the spot and move into the top 5.
I really think that Jake Ennis, and like you said, with that new rig, is a testimony that you don't need the top-end equipment, even though it can help a little bit. Before that rig, he was racing not from a desk, from a dresser that he had attached his wheel and set up to.
And look at Ennis chasing down, just trying to stay on the wheel well of Timmy Holmes. There might be something to that. It was really impressive for Holmes to go down to the bottom and make the pass the way he did. As Ennis continues to work that high line, Jonathan Evans looking to the inside. Vila now in the mix, but still just a big fight there right around the transfer spot.
Drivers now working their way through as we watch on, hitting down into the corner, watching as Holmes tries to get himself a little bit of a cushion as he goes to the inside of Abraham Vila along with Jack Stoneman, who's having a great run with 8 laps to go here. It's going to be critical to see what they can do, but that outside lane, so much stronger on this run-off corner exit. It's really difficult for him as we go on board with Jonathan Evans, who's in the catbird seat, ready to capitalize on any one of these drivers who makes a mistake.
Lane Graves trying to find a spot on the inside. Contact between Vila and Stoneman, who clips the fence. There goes Innes. There goes Evans underneath. That might just move Stoneman out of the top 5. Here comes Innes looking to the inside for a spot all the way on the bottom underneath Vila and Timmy Holmes.
These big checkups are like blood in the water, and you can see it as we get loosed out at the bottom. Holmes was the one on the move. Now suddenly everybody just has that great opportunity with that moment off of 2 and just duck underneath him. He's going to have the better run coming off the corner. I think Timmy Holmes, though, is definitely the one that's caught my eye here at this point in this heat.
So you got Innes working the bottom, just not a run that you can see that truck getting loose underneath. And you see the run that Vila got. You see the run that Evans got. You see Garza making contact as he bounces into Stoneman. He gets into Innes. Just no room there on the bottom to keep one of these runs. And I think we're starting to hit that point, Taylor, where you really have to be able to roll momentum and you really have to have saved something because you just can't quite get the runs on that inside lane the way that some of these drivers were a few laps ago.
The only thing that can help you is if you have some help behind you on those straightaways on the backstretch, especially if you have someone go down there with you, work with you on there to get around. But other than that, you're pretty much just sitting duck out there, and unfortunately tough break where you'll have to try to recoup and retry again into turn 3 and 4. As one driver hits the wall, that's Jack Stoneman, and a big-time save from Jake Innes.
Innes got wiggly, Stoneman got wiggly. They both, I think, got the fence there coming out of 2 that last time by. And that exit in turn 2, that sneaks up on you, Joe P. That's something we saw consistently from the drivers in this field throughout all of our groups last week. Once they got tight, if they just didn't quite hit their exits, they could tank slap the wall with the right rear and cost themselves a spot or 2. And Stoneman's going to get into Evans, and those two are going to wreck on the front straightaway and take out a whole bunch of drivers behind.
Holy cow, that unfortunately was a little bit silly if you ask me, but a lot of drivers paid the price, and with no cautions in these heat races, that means that a number of drivers have a much easier time at advancing now.
It spread out the field. It now means that the battle is going to be between Jacob Bradley and Jake Innes. So Bradley trying to run down Innes and get the final automatic transfer spot. Innes trying to hang on to it, maybe catch a draft from Abraham Vila. The first 3 trucks or so, and Vila too, truthfully, he's not too far back. They're all pretty well tucked in behind each other, and they understand that if they finish top 5, they're going to the finale. It doesn't matter where they end up. They can sort of race their way in depending on where they are.
Here we take a look at the replay of what happened here. Hopefully they'll be smart, but Evans, you see on the bottom right here, trying to see what happens, and then there you see Stoneman just come down, make the contact. Did not think he was clear, apparently, and unfortunately collects several heavy hitters in this heat race. Faraz Khan out of it as well.
Truthfully, I'm not sure if Stoneman recognized that Evans was down there. The way that truck turned down, I think he thought he was completely clear and that there was absolutely nothing else in it. I don't know, Jerky, did you see anything differently?
Yeah, we got some information on that. It sounds like Jack had a game freeze, unfortunately. So that was a little bit out of his hands. That's why it looked so odd out there. I was kind of with you, that, and why I described it as silly. It just seemed really unusual to make a mistake like that.
It's a different kind of silly, right? Not necessarily a driver error, but sometimes that happens. It's sort of the equivalent of a mechanical breakdown here. Every once in a while, if your PC screws up, same way that your engine might screw up, it happens in big-time auto racing, no matter where you are. This is Purdue University in Indianapolis. This is Jacob Bradley. You see the gap to 7th place. So this is 6 trucks fighting for 5 spots. That's pretty consistent. I don't think there's anything sort of off about that as Abraham Vila ducked to the inside. This is a game of how much do you want to try and get one more spot, and is it worth it to try and make that jump as we get to the final lap here?
So far, it's going to be a mix of see how this all plays out. You guys, this is where we're going to see it between Vila and Bradley. How aggressive is Bradley going to send it into turn 3 and 4? Those top 4 don't need to worry about it. Here comes Bradley. Looks to see if he can go around the outside, and Vila hugs the bottom, trying to keep as much speed and take the short way around the course.
Can he hold off Jacob Bradley coming to the stripe? Got a little bit loose out of turn number 4. A good feint out finish. Parker White is going to win the semifinal. Abraham Vila is going to hold them off. And Jacob Bradley's going to have work to do in the LCQ. But Parker White will be racing for the $6,000. You see Jake Innes and the Belmont Abbey contingent applauding his efforts. He qualifies for his first final in this college series in the 2025-26 season. And Parker White will be there. and a whole host of others will be there as well, including Matthew Morton and Timothy Holmes and Abraham Vila. Along with Innocent White, those 5 going automatically to the finals. Everybody from Jacob Bradley on down going to be headed to the LCQ.
Tough break for those drivers here, especially for Evans and Khan, so we'll see how it goes.
Off we go into our second semifinal then. No time to waste and a lot of action to bring your way as well. And 13 more drivers trying to make their way into the top 5. And they are led by Kettering University's Maverick Davis, who will start on pole. Matthew Zwack won this one. It was a single race last season, trying to win the tournament on home turf. I know that would mean a ton to him as a Michigan Wolverine. Connor Yarashak, points leader, up there in the top 6 as well.
From there, of course, we've got Daniel Falkingham starting from 7th, Connor Trafari in P8, Jake Cummings there for Converse University in 9th, Malachi Drake for Liberty will be rounding out your top 10. Chris Treppa then from the 11th position sees Blake Wynn to his outside. And then the last car is going to be Michael Pollock starting from 13th, all trying to vie for those top 5 spots.
13 drivers trying to make it into 5. Taylor Burris, let's look at our Logitech T-Track analysis once again.
Well, we're going to continue on with this trend. 15 laps around the circuit. Top 5 will advance to the final round. 6th through 13th, well, you're going to head over to the LCQ where you get one final attempt before it's back to class for you, and we'll see you in a month's time.
Next step, if you can't make it through the LCQ, is the Great Lakes Gauntlet coming your way. Or rather, the Old Dominion Classic from Martinsville. We are in the Great Lakes Gauntlet. We've got lots of fun to come at Martinsville and Homestead, Miami. There's plenty more action to come your way, and if you register now by scanning the QR code at the bottom of your screen, you can register to race for over $60,000 in scholarship prizes. You can visit pcl.tg/pages/NASCAR for more information on how to get involved and how to potentially become a driver, a competitor, and the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Play versus College League. Pace car beginning to roll. Trucks beginning to make their move onto the high banks here at Michigan. And another 15 laps for this group of 15 to whittle it down to 5. Just absolute firepower, though, amongst these top 5. Davis, Zwack, Alt, who's a former Coke Series driver, Yarashak, who's a Coke Series driver, and Jose Solis Jr., who won his group. So this is arguably, this could be the most stacked of the 3 semifinals, I think, Taylor. Very real possibility we're looking at that here.
Very much really, indeed. We're going to see one of these drivers possibly be your champion for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series out of this group. And, I mean, it's still anyone's game of who can come out on top, but this is a class, I got to say, where we're going to see it really come out, especially with our defending winner right there in the hunt as well.
Matthew Zwack, you have to believe, as a Michigan man, it means a little bit more to him to try and get the victory here, that there's got to be a little bit extra motivation to try and defend home turf for the maize and blue and be the victor that their fight song references so much. Hail to the victors. I think he'd love for this evening to end hail to Matthew Zwack, would he not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but it's always a little bit easier to feel confident coming in. I think it's a lot more difficult when they get underway, as we're about to hit 200 miles an hour around here.
Lots of speed coming your way at Michigan. Green flag out. The restarts are a little bit more even this week. I've noticed that immediately because Maverick Davis has been able to get out. Big move there from Daniel Falkingham further back. He got all the way out to block Jake Cummings and kept him at bay and somehow hung on to his truck too. I thought for a moment he might be going sideways into the grass alongside the front straightaway. In the meantime, though, contact there with Zwack and Davis, and they somehow kept it pointed in the right direction. They almost got turned around before we even got halfway through the first lap.
Falkingham throwing a block like he was at Daytona in the O'Reilly Series, what we saw from Austin Hill. So he is definitely coming out here to showcase he wants a shot at taking the top spot. But for Matthew Zwack, He's going to try to pull away and maybe have to block all 3 lanes as they come across the line. 3 wide for the top spot here for the transfer as they head down into turn number 1.
You love the track position that you had with Matthew Zwack. You hate the fact that you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 lanes with runs on you at some point when they do finally get back to him. Zwack with a little bit of a tighter angle all from turn 2 to make sure he didn't clip the fence. That does cut down your top end speed at the end of the back straightaway, but it also makes sure you don't run the right rear into the fence either. And that could be equally as important the later on we get into the semifinal jump.
Yeah, and I'm a bit surprised that we saw that sort of aggression. I mean, literally as they crossed the line, that was in stark contrast to what we saw in heat number 1. So this is definitely its own little beast that we've got out here. And it's kind of no surprise. I think we've got 5 of our top 10 in points in this heat right now.
This is Jake Cummings, who rides last. You can see Matthew Zwack in his shot, who rides first. That is how close it is between this bunch. There is not a lot of separation between this group. So the Converse University driver out of Pofftown, North Carolina. Normally it's the town there that gets you tripped up. Apparently it's opposite day for me. But Cummings still with an opportunity to race his way at least in a better starting position to the LCQ, if not maybe the top 5 outright. Who knows? We did not think it would get as crazy as it did in the middle of semifinal number 1. Taylor Burris, I think we now have to be on watch for that kind of potential to take place in either semifinal number 2 or number 3.
I have to agree with you on that, James. I think when we get closer to the end of this race, we're going to see a little bit of desperation from some of our drivers outside looking in. We're seeing that right here, 3 wide battling for that 5th position, and Daniel Falkingham will be able to hold it. Dylan All, along with Chris Treppa, make their way around. Dylan Basin, your Daytona or your Charlotte winner not too long ago.
On board with Maverick Davis, a Michigan man as well out of Swartz Creek, now stuck on that inside line. You can see the run that the outside lane gets, especially coming down the front straightaway. You carry all that speed, all that momentum, and you get that much draft help, and you can lose 2 or 3 spots just between the start-finish line and the entry to turn 1.
I think Maverick was not comfortable with the way this was starting to shape up. He got shuffled from the pole back to 5th in just the first couple laps. In fact, he's going now farther back into 7th. He was trying to make some moves forward, but like I said, that bottom line not working, and now he's stuck in the middle, ping-ponging between trucks, and he's going to get involved in an accident. Others are going to fly by the wayside. He'll get away with it, but the momentum is gone.
3 does not go into 2, but the battle for a spot in the top 5 still pretty strong. We lost a few trucks in that for sure. Wynn and Drake and Treppa definitely affected by that, but Dylan Basin now in control of the transfer spot. He's got Michael Pollock out of McEwen University trying to fight him for the last transfer spot.
If I was Zwack, Yarashak, Falkingham, and Trafari, I would just try to run away, not worry about what's going on, just try to separate yourself.
Good look at the leaders here. Still 1, 2, 3. Battle a little bit further back. This is a look at what happened between Treppa and Maverick Davis. Dylan Basin was there. Dylan Alt was there. This all starts a little bit further into turn 4, so keep an eye here. Maverick Davis, the Kettering University driver, he comes up the racetrack, and then Treppa tries to go for it, make a move, and eventually, boom.
Yeah, and I think he maybe tried that send a little bit too hard on the second time around, stuck in the middle. Need a little bit more clear track for that. Like I said, I mean, he's still running, but the damage was done. He's down in 10th. He is 2.5 off the lead, and now playing catch-up with just a handful of laps to go.
He'd need a big incident from these top 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 drivers to have a shot at making it directly into the final and avoiding the LCQ. Matthew Zwack continuing to lead on board here with Connor Trafari, the Bluffton, South Carolina native, representing the Charlotte 49ers, currently 1 spot outside the transfer zone, looking for the spot of Michael Pollock, but nowhere to go up high, so he'll just try and ride the tire tracks and carry momentum off the corner to get a good run down the front stretch.
Oh, Solis's right there on the bottom. He finally finds an opening to clear and go behind him, but it's going to be a tough grind for him as he now tries to push Michael Pollock as they head into turn number 1. He's got to find a way quickly around to lose time.
Can you force the issue on Pollock? Can you force Pollock to burn up the right rear a lot? That's exactly what I think he tried to do. Pollock lost the air on the rear deck lid that created an opportunity for Trifari to get underneath. But can Trifari complete this pass? He's going to have to send it and almost pull the infamous slide job Chicagoland style to get the spot, but he's not clear of Pollock enough. And this may open an opportunity from Jose Solis Jr., or he might just fence Pollock to try and get the position. They're still side by side, and Jose Solis Jr. may take advantage of it and go 3 wide and pass both of them to get into the top 5.
And that has allowed Maverick Davis to kind of catch this pack as well. So he's now back in the mix. But Trifari's probably used to racing in these close quarters conditions. He comes from a karting background and has even won championships in that realm in real world racing.
Michael Pollock out of Leduc County, Alberta, representing the Griffins of McEwen University. 6th as it stands on the board. He's going to have to make a move. Jose Solis Jr. has been flying back up through this field, though. Back to where he started in the top 5. Pollock's had a great run, too, though. Up 7 spots from his starting position of 13th. He was dead last on this grid. He has done a nice job taking advantage of the chaos to race his way up through the field.
Connor had a big slap against the outside of turn 4 there. I think he got into Dylan Alt in the process. So we watch those top 5 once again, and still working out well for Matthew Zwack. Everybody behind him fighting so hard. He's still up at the point. He's being caught, but they're tripping over each other when they could be trying to challenge him to the victory, or just simply solidifying this pass. And look at Falkingham. Falkingham not happy with this whole situation. I don't think he likes the ferocity of this.
I'm not a great lip reader here, Taylor Burris, but you can see the frustration for sure. And I don't know whether or not that's I can't believe that the runs are so strong where they're coming from, or I can't believe we're racing like this in the top 5 when all of us, as it stands, are guaranteed spots in the final. Let's all make the final and not have to worry about the LCQ. Maybe that's his thing.
I mean, that or just, it's like you said, it's a little bit of that aggressive driving seeing here, especially from the drivers from 4th on up. I mean, they're guaranteed. It's really Jose Solis Jr. and Michael Pollock who need to be battling it out, but Solis Jr. going around the outside of Falkingham.
Jose Solis Jr. now in the top 5 with a great run. Matthew Zwack now coming up top here to try and make the stop.
Look at 8th place, Dylan all on the outside looking in. He could possibly be sent to the LCQ. That is not a good look. He's got to find a way to push forward with these final 3 laps.
Here's the all-board from Dylan Alt out of Sacramento, California, trying to get back up to that lead group. A little bit of a gap with 3 laps to go. Trifari stuck at the bottom. Pollock up top. Both of them outside the top 5. Everybody trying to get closer to the fence. That outside lane's had speed. Look at Jake Cummings, though, with a drive on the bottom to get the spot away from Alt. Alt will have the run down the front straightaway. Can Cummings block it entering turn 1?
Yeah, this is where you got to start making some of those strategic moves out here. But the more they try and battle each other, the harder it's going to be to catch those in front. It is a difficult tightrope to walk as we're going to get more cars wrecking out right at the very end off of the ever dangerous turn 2.
Pollock got a little bit too loose underneath. I believe that was Dylan Alt in the fence. He goes to the LCQ. He goes. Trifari and Jose Solis Jr. now in the battle for the final transfer spot. The front 4 in a pretty good place, so it's these 2 that we get to watch here on the last lap of the semifinal.
It's going to be a drag race here as they work their way across the line. It's going to give into Jose Solis Jr. as they head into turn number 1. Trifari is going to have to be the lone survivor. If he doesn't make it, no drivers from UNC Charlotte will make it to the finals.
Oh, what a move there from Trifari, sideways and everything, trying to pull the slider there on Jose Solis Jr., who read it beautifully and went immediately down to the bottom with the run he was getting out of turn 2. So now it's Solis' turn to try and throw the slider on Trifari and lock down a spot on the finals. Leaders on the top portion of your screen, transfer on the bottom. They make contact door to door through the corner. Contact again. Sully's trying to fence Trifari. Trifari with the run out of turn 4 at the line. It is going to be Connor Trifari who makes it in. You can see the celebration there by 1/10 of a second. Actually, no, less than that. Excuse me. 2 1/1000ths of a second, perhaps.
Yeah, it was extremely tight. There was inches between them across the line, but that's going to make Euroshak Zwack Falkingham Basin and Trafari are advancing drivers. Solis is unfortunately going to be sent off to the last chance qualifier. We'll see if he can advance up, but definitely some big names down there. Dylan Alt, Maverick Davis as well, that will have to try and make their way in the hard way.
Checking them out there, 100th of a second officially between Trafari and Solis for the last transfer spot. As we now look at semifinal number 3, where Aaron Brown of Eastern Shore Community College will lead this field to green. Nick Dyer in there, Jackson Anderson, Nathan Scott. A lot of opportunity, I think, in this semifinal, Taylor, for these drivers who have not necessarily had their moment to maybe have their moment tonight in the College Series.
Absolutely. As we move on down to rows 4 through 6, we'll have Daniel Nanny and Logan Clampett, some heavy hitters. Edward Sanchez from Baruch College got his lucky card, seeing if he can make it to the finals here tonight. Bradley Erickson, Nick Miller, and Ethan Shapiro rounding out your top 12. And then certainly the lead. He's the final driver here, riding shotgun with us here as they come across the line. Nope. As we got ourselves a little bit of some Evans Pasoko, of course, the voice of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and Ball State, which is our famous and favorite producer, Mr. Drew Adamson's Ball State alumni, are about to go head-to-head here. So, gentlemen, let's say have a little fun. Who do you think will come out on top between those two as we take a look at the Logitech G Race of Allergists? 15 laps, top 5 advance to the finals, 6 through 13 head off to the LCQ.
As the leader of this brigade and also with his own school represented in this, I'm going to stay absent from this. But Joe Peak, I don't think you have a dog in this fight, so how about you? Your take is definitely more valid than ours.
I mean, I like to poke the bear. I'm going to say that Cal State Fullerton is going to take it over Ball State. So.
Which then gives you Logan Clampett, which is not a bad horse to have in this fight. Or rather Titan, I suppose, if we are being technical, because if you wind the clock back 3 years, the winner at Michigan, as we get a good look at Edward Sanchez representing Baruch College with his lucky card and all, and the heart hands 2 ways from Edward. But going back into the history books, do you know, Joe Peak, who won the eNASCAR College iRacing Series race at Michigan in 2023, as we get a look at Purdue University's Carson Bowers?
I believe, what was it, Zwack, wasn't it?
Last year, it was Zwack. I'm talking about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. So I do not know. You'll have to enlighten me.
3 years ago. Well, convenient that you picked Logan Clampett, because even though he was representing Saddleback College at the time, Logan Clampett was the winner here in 2023. So Clampett has a bit of precedent here, albeit that was in a NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series vehicle. So bit of a change, but still, the experience is there. And then you combine it with the championship he won in this series last season, and then on top of that, the Coke Series experience that he has racing here. You could do a lot worse than picking Logan Clampett, but there are a lot of really talented drivers in this field anyway, Taylor.
Can I be honest? My answer was mostly just to annoy Drew, our producer, honestly. So it just worked out well in my favor.
Joe's going to show everyone why.
About to say, just for those watching at home, we have a camera on our production team, and Drew just sort of shook his head like, all right, okay, I see what you're doing there. So I guess it's all up to the drivers of the track to see who wins the Pasoko-Adamson Peak battle. And we shall see who wins the battle to get to the top 5 as well, as Aaron Brown will lead this field to green. Final semifinal of the evening. 5 more drivers to punch their tickets straight to the final. Everybody else to the LCQ. Off and away we go. Another tucked up restart, and Carson Bowers going to try and roll the top side as Bradley Erickson immediately drops to the inside, and Daniel Nanny will do the same.
2 by 2, and already Daniel Nanny with help from Erickson is going to make it 3 wide as they come out of turn number 2, and already that battle for the final transfer spot is going to be chaotic. Here they come 5 wide out of 2.
Classic Racing Michigan, you're already 4 wide, and we haven't even completed a lap of competition as they're still 3 wide further back. They've filtered down to 1 wide and 2 wide further up in the field, but look at that, all the way towards the back of the field once you get clear of the top 5.
I was a little bit nervous watching Anderson there from Oklahoma State because he was looking very loose at the start coming through 1 and 2. Looks like the truck has settled down. He's still within those top 5 as we get Arizona State going all the way to the bottom very late.
How do you handle this if you are Nick Dyer in particular, right in the middle of that? You got people underneath, you got people up top. You can't really settle into a lane, so he'll decide to go right up along the fence. Here's Daniel Nanny, another Michigan man out of Clinton Township, but racing for Ball State out of the Mid-American Conference, looking for a spot on the high line, riding just behind Ethan Shapiro. A little bit further back in this field, but again, that high line gets such a great run out of turn 4. You can gain at least a truck length on somebody, if not more, and maybe some track position too, depending on how you time your exit out of turn 4.
It's all about timing, feeling that flow that's coming for you. As trouble for one driver, Daniel Nanny, nearly getting squeezed up on the top side of the racetrack as we watch the battle for position here. You're on board with Bradley Erickson from Arizona State University, looking to try to see if he can squeeze his way. He'll go all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack and go head-to-head with another West Coast driver over there for the University of Las Vegas as they try to go side by side and split the difference with Aaron Brown.
Aaron Brown there. Look at the run that trio on the top line has got. Carson Bowers, Dylan Baum, Jackson Anderson. They all cleared Logan Clampett almost if he was standing still. Clampett now trying to go to the high side. I saw Ethan Shapiro, I believe, throw a big block on Daniel Nanny. That was the thing we saw a little bit ago. Wiggle from Bradley Erickson, middle of the field. But everybody's starting to drift again towards that top line. There's speed on the bottom in those first few laps. The tires come up to temp. But once they come up to temp, you really got to be careful with how you use that inside lane as Bowers will try and fend off Anderson.
Yeah, once again, down to that low side and trying to just chuck it in there. There have been some big losers in this one already. Nick Dyer's down 7 spots and at the very back of this pack. So some drivers are going to have to work their way back through this mess. And the way we've been seeing these latter heats, the first one was relatively calm in comparison. This has been frantic stuff as the Fullerton car apparently having a bit of trouble. They're off too.
Bowers still in control of this. Bond working to the inside of Clampett, who's found that spot on the high line. Anderson is there too. Bradley Erickson, who's done a nice job racing up from the 11th spot to the 5th position. He has raced his way into a transfer spot. Aaron Brown's gone the other way, down 7 from his pole position, currently scored in 8th as Anderson now gets trapped on the inside line and loses at least 1 spot, maybe 2. We'll go on board with Brown and see where he goes now.
Aaron Brown trying to see what he can do here as he tries to, you see him starting at the trouble. Anderson as well as a couple of other drivers. Dylan Baum goes around and Babson College also having some trouble as well. That's Ethan Shapiro.
Edward Sanchez caught the fence. Jackson Anderson, Dylan Baum caught the fence, and Anderson and Baum were in the top 5 pretty consistently, so that's going to open up an opportunity for somebody, and right now that somebody is Aaron Brown, though he has Nick Miller and Daniel Nanny right on his rear bumper trying to find a spot.
Getting the replay. Oh, as well, it's hard to tell what's the replay and what's not because we got a wreck with Ball State getting involved as well in live time. Things falling apart in this split.
Daniel Nanny has damage to the right front of his truck. Nick Dyer does not. We will see how that affects Nanny. It's definitely a more aero-sensitive track with the speeds that you carry, but Nanny, for the moment, currently top 5. So far as Brown was concerned, I saw about 3 or 4 blocks that tried to get thrown. We'll take a look here on the bottom portion of your screen. You can block once, maybe twice, 3 times though, and 4 times, or 5 times, I think. It was the 5th time, ultimately, that did Aaron Brown in. But once you get past 2, it gets a little bit dicey, Taylor.
It really does, and there we see strike right there for the driver of Nathan Scott to get around Daniel Nanny for the transfer with 8 to go. The good news is there's still time for Drew to pump up his Ball State driver of Daniel Nanny to get around Evans' driver of Nathan Scott. So we'll see here as we watch on as they come out of turn number 4.
Can Daniel Nanny fly into the top 5? He's got time to do it. We're noting the top 4 separated from this group, so this is effectively 4 drivers fighting for 1 direct transfer. Meanwhile, further up the field, you've got double file for second place between Clampett and Erickson, 2 West Coast drivers fighting for position. Bowers, your leader still. Miller solidly in the top 4. Scott pacing the second group behind this, and the last driver in automatically. as it stands to the final.
Yeah, before we turned the cameras, they were actually 3 wide even coming into turn 1. So despite having these top spots locked down, I don't know, maybe it's just that we do have so much youth racing in this, but there's a bit of a lack of patience here today.
So 2 battles that you get to watch on your screen. Top side, your leaders. Bottom side, the battle for the transfer is Nathan Scott beginning to drive away. Scott's been a driver I've watched throughout this season, Taylor Burris, and I've seen enough speed out of the UNLV Rebel to think that if at some point he could put a complete race together and a complete tournament together, he'd be in the mix for a spot in the final. This might be his opportunity to do just that, especially because Nick Dyer and Daniel Nanny are just laying bumpers to each other and in the process allowing Scott to get away.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just got to keep it clean, not make a mistake, focus on the track ahead, and try to hit his marks for these next 5 laps.
In pretty good shape right now is Nathan Scott. Almost all he needs to do is make sure that he doesn't light up the right rear on corner exit, and he might be able to just cruise his way in the final because Dyer and Nanny and Shapiro refuse to get away from one another. They also refuse to work together, and that's allowing Scott to extend the gap even more. It's about 0.4 of a second as it stands, and Scott now, if anything, might be doing a halfway decent job towards trying to climb up towards Nick Miller in 4th. He's actually gaining on Miller a little bit.
So things looking at least a little bit better for Scott here at the end with that gap of about half a second over Dyer, who's trying to bring that main machine up into the transfer positions. But like I said, not really looking good if you are the number 4 and trying to play catch up, because we are down to just a tiny handful of laps to go. And while he does have Daniel Nanny behind him and Ethan Shapiro, they could maybe work together. I just think that's too big of a gap to try and leapfrog their way up.
One thing I noticed here in this last lap, maybe 2 things. One, Nathan Scott is using absolutely every lane on this racetrack as you go to 3 to go to work his way through the corners to go on board with Bowers and Harrison. 2, he is gaining on Nick Miller to the tune of about 1/10 a second through each set of corners. That gap was about 0.6 of a second. It's now down to maybe a truck length and a half. You see Scott coming into the picture now. So Nathan Scott with a late charge. He's already in the top 5. And now Nick Miller, I think, beginning to respond by looking to the inside and trying to get a move maybe for the race lead. Big, deep drive into the corner, but he won't be able to stick it on Carson Bowers. He won't be able to get in front of Logan Clampett, and he will cede the spot to Nathan Scott by the time they hit the start-finish line.
He's got to be so careful with doing stuff like that. They have enough of a gap over Nick Dyer. Yes, even if Nathan Scott gets by, you're still guaranteed to move on. Make sure you don't make a mistake. Just get back in line, don't lose touch, and you're guaranteed a spot to transfer forward.
How much do you want to fight for a transfer spot? I think that's the biggest thing that you have to ask yourself in a position like this. All 5 of you are going to it as it stands. All you're racing for is a starting position. That's the only thing that gets determined in this. So do you want the track position, or do you trust that at a place like Michigan you'll have the width and the racetrack to go make your own luck, and you just get in and find your way into the final, get a spot, and then see what happens?
I mean, I tend to play a conservative approach to these sorts of things, so I would just try to get in once you're through and then make the very safe moves as we watch the battle for the top of the non-transfer with Dyer, unfortunately, under attack from Nanny, who is going to make a great move down the inside. We're still going to see battling on the backstretch to decide those top 5.
Logan Clampett caught the fence out of 2 that last time by. That cut the gap down a little bit. It's 0.6 of a second between Scott and Nanny. They're going to need a lot of luck, though, coming out of 4. Bradley Erickson going to go up 10 spots to win this semifinal. Drive of the night so far for the Arizona State Sun Devil. And in the end, Nick Miller and Nathan Scott, 4th and 5th. And Erickson, Bowers, Clampett, Miller, Scott going to be the 5 that automatically transfer to the final from this semi. So top 5 are 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, or 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th drivers that automatically qualify into the final from these semis. Daniel Nanny on back, going into the LCQ. Joe Peak, how much fun this is going to be.
Exactly, and it's going to be a few more cars that advance from this one, so chances theoretically could be a little bit better, but You have to remember, it is still 15 laps, as there it is. That's the LCQ, the last chance to make it into the feature. If you have been slotted down into this, it is desperation time.
You have to get it done now. Jacob Bradley, Jose Solis Jr., the first two drivers that are going to lead us to green in this LCQ. Nanny and Burns showed a lot of speed. Maverick Davis had a good qualifying run in his semi, couldn't put it together. Nick Dyer was just on the outside looking in.
As we move forward on, it's going to be Adam Garza and Jake Cummings there in row 4, Ethan Shapiro and Connor Berkey in row 5. Dylan Alt, surprised to see him, but unfortunately has to try to fight his way through with Dylan Boehm in row 6.
There, Lane Graves is on the inside of row 7 with Blake Wynn to his outside. Oklahoma State's Jackson Anderson starting in the 15th position, flanked by Jonathan Evans to his outside. It'll be Malachi Drake starting 17th for Liberty, and Baruch College has Edward Sanchez then in the next position.
A really fast final quintet of drivers in the back of this field. Michael Polick was around a transfer spot. Jack Stoneman was in a transfer spot before he got in an incident. All of these drivers got caught up in some form of wreck in their semifinals. Their starting positions, I do not think indicative of the pace that they have been able to show in this Great Lakes Gauntlet so far. Taylor Burris, our Logitech G-Track analysis for this LCQ.
Well, it's going to be the same thing for the semifinals. LCQ, 15 laps or 30 miles around the circuit. Here's the difference. The top 10 advance to the final round and have the shot of going to get the scholarship money. 11 through 24, I hate to say this, it's time for you to go back to class, back to your homework. Don't get eliminated is the key word here today for these drivers in this LCQ, and it's going to be an exciting one. Who's going to be aggressive? Who's going to be patient? James Pike, we're about to find out.
Taylor Burris, don't get eliminated, you say?
I did say that.
You mean something more along the lines of don't get
eliminated.
Exactly. One of these days we'll figure this out. One of these days. But for now, what? Go, Taylor. Yeah.
I was going to say we're professionals, we promise, but we got to get a little more in tune.
We're professionals. We're just not well rehearsed. Something to that effect. But as it stands, if you scan the QR code on the lower right-hand portion of your screen, if you are a driver that has registered and competed in at least one time attack, or if you register and compete in at least one time attack, you will be automatically entered for a chance to win a racing prize pack, including a Logitech G923 True Force racing wheel and pedal set for the Xbox 4 PC, iRacing credits, a custom eNASCAR College iRacing Series t-shirt. Really, really fun, neat prize pack, courtesy of our friends at the Play vs. College League, and more information on that is available at pcl.gg/pages/eNASCAR. So this is it. One more race, 10 spots up for grabs, 15 laps to determine who will join the other 15 drivers and complete the 25 truck field for the finale of the Great Lakes Gauntlet. We have come from 120. We now go from 39 down to 25. Who will make it in and who will have a chance to race for some scholarship money? Lights are off on the pace car. Bradley and Jose Solis Jr. in the mix. Purdue University in Indianapolis and the University of Connecticut pacing the field to green in Chevrolet Silverados here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Green flag is out. We are off and away. Bradley with a good start. Big move there already from Adam Garza, who's going to drop to the bottom, make it 3 wide already, and Mike gets some spots. He got a great jump there on the initial start.
I know I've been preaching patience earlier, but now you got to throw that out the window with so many more trucks than before. You have got to hustle, especially if you're at the back. So we're going to see some wild moves here, especially at the start.
Oh, drivers already hitting the outside wall as they came off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway and trying to get themselves organized here. Daniel Nanny all the way down with help from Maverick Davis.
They are 3 wide. They are 4 wide. They may come off the corner 5 wide in spots. You're at least going to see 4 there. And Nick Dyer, Jonathan Evans, all in the mix there. I see Jackson Anderson and one more truck there. I believe that's Dylan Baum there. 4 wide all the way down the front straightaway with absolutely no space to relent.
Yeah, you've got to be careful in this situation. make sure and pay attention to your spotters and what's happening as we get one of our cars, the Converse truck, up into the wall once again. Thankfully, we do not get a major wreck out of it, but it looks like one of our main contenders slots all the way to the back.
Main contender or main contender? You tell me, Joe P.
Unintentional pun, but I'll take it. That was Nick Dyer for what it's worth.
He is the only driver representing a University of Maine campus who has yet to qualify his way into the final. Both Daniel Falkingham and Parker White, representing the Universities of Maine at Machias and Augusta, are in. So Dyer might have a little bit of pressure on him to make sure all the Mainers get their way into the finale. An impressive state for the northernmost states there, as we've got one truck sideways and one truck out of the way. That's Maverick Davis, who got shot down to the inside. One truck comes back up the racetrack. I think that's Dylan All. Now they all wreck further back in the field.
I mean, all I was thinking throughout that whole time was, all right, there goes everyone who we expect to be not moving on, and here comes the other driver back up across the track here, and, well, unfortunately, that's going to change the whole outlook of this grouping here as Jonathan Evan holds that 10th position for the moment.
So who benefits? I think that's the big question. Looking at the edge of things, Jack Stoneman, I think, was able to get out of that clean. He's the first one I see. Edward Sanchez also there too. So it might be a battle between the two of them. If they can manage to stay close to this pack, certainly won't hurt them. But Anderson's got a lot of damage on his truck. I do not think Anderson will be able to hang. I think this is going to be Berkey, Cummings, Sanchez. Going to be very entertaining to see how this fans out. But if you're in that top 10, you might as well sit. Let's get a good look here, though. Dylan Alt was the one who really set this whole thing off. We'll see what happened to him on the replay down the bottom of your screen.
Got loose, got a little bit of help in the process, and once the first domino was tipped, it was difficult to stop the rest of them. And credit, I mean, he made his way back into it, it looks like, late. I don't know if he got caught in that secondary accident that we saw. But, I mean, that is difficult to dissect because there was about 5 different incidents that came from one.
Also, a thought for Jonathan Evans, who just about got clipped and just about ended up in that group 2. But he made it in. He's found his way into the top 7. He's rebounding after a tough break there in his semifinal.
Credit to Stoneman here because he's up 10 from where he started. And is trying to catch up to Berkey, but he's got a big gap between them. So here's a look from the ground level, and it's so hard to tell what's going on.
How close is this? Watch this. Woo! Wow. He just stuck past. So how about one for the Western Connecticut State Wolf? That was great driving there from Jonathan Evans. And I think after the speed he had in the semifinal, he would make the case that a place in the top 10 of this LCQ would be more than deserved. So far, he's putting his performance up there, and he's doing a good job of backing up his words, his thoughts. He's got a place as it stands.
Racing's a game of inches, and right there was just inches to determine whether he will continue or be eliminated here tonight as we go up to the front of the field to watch Jose Salas Jr. and Daniel Nanny for the race lead. If I was any of these drivers from the top 7, don't worry about anything. Don't fight for position. Don't try to battle. Just try and play a little bit of keep away. Stay ahead of 8th through 11th pretty much to guarantee your shot of going to the finals.
Taylor, are you trying to tell race car drivers to not race?
No, I'm not, but I'm also trying to think like, hey, if I was in one of these drivers' shoes inside the top 5, I wouldn't worry too much about it because I would have my eye on the big prize, which is that top 6 for the scholarship money.
The contrast here with your line of thinking and the opposite end of it would be those who ascribe to Ayrton Senna's theory of if you do not go for a gap that exists, then you are no longer a racing driver. But that's the fun of this, right, Joe? It's how many drivers are actually racing with strategy in mind and going about it in a more sort of Alain Prosty type of way, and how many drivers are just absolutely going for it full send because they're a race car driver.
And each, has its merits and its drawbacks. So you've really kind of got to balance it. I said earlier, patience worked before, but you kind of don't need it now. Well, it's flipped once again. I'm kind of on the side of Taylor that these 10 have a nice gap to 11th place. They're in a good spot. Don't waste opportunity.
Do not let it slip. I feel like there was some famous guy from Detroit that talked about that once upon a time, Joe. Maybe, perhaps.
You've lost me on that one. I apologize.
Well, I mean, I can't say some of these drivers, their knees are weak and arms are heavy for sure.
Exactly.
With how much
There we go. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Taylor.
Okay, I got you now.
Hopefully nobody ate mom spaghetti.
I was about to make the point. These are two drivers that are definitely not eating mom's spaghetti at this point. Edward Sanchez and Jake Cummings, they've got work to do. That's the big thing they have to do. They don't have time to eat mom's spaghetti because right now they're both on the outside looking in. They run 12th for Sanchez, and Cummings is 14th.
There we see the gap from a little bit farther down as well. Things have just spread out massively from that one incident. 6 laps to go. These two, frankly, their hope at this point is that those top 10 start battling and someone trips over each other. And there you can see, there's behind Berkey. This is your last above the cut line. The gap is about 1.8 seconds. It's way too far for any sort of slipstream. There's too few laps to try and run them down, even though we've seen a couple drivers manage to do that over a gap of maybe. But, yeah, this, for the position in the final roundup at the top, as it looks like Jose in that Yukon truck is still trying to take the top spot.
Now, if you're thinking of strategy here, and if there's one thing that might be worth racing for, and if you fall maybe more in the Senna line of thinking that camp, you do gain starting spots in the grid for the final based upon where you finish the LCQ. So, there is something to race for here if you want it. The question is, how valuable is it going to be to try and start in 16th, which is where the winner of the LCQ is going to roll off from when we get to the final in, 5 laps?
Yeah, about 5 laps or so, I would have to say.
Yeah, it's, I mean, like you said, I say it all the time. It is risk versus reward. What is it worth to you to try and do that? I think if we were at Martinsville, I'd say absolutely, go for it. You want that track position. Here at Michigan, I don't think it's as much of a draw.
Jonathan Evans continuing to work that high line. All these drivers now really starting to slide up into that third or sometimes fourth groove in places. So once the tires wear out, the speed ends up being in the high side of the racetrack. We've seen that consistently throughout this tournament. These drivers taking no exception here. And most of them not really going down to that last groove, right down on the inside. The low groove is sort of the second groove up from the apron here.
It really is something interesting here, and John Evans is just really starting to showcase some great speed here. He found it in this late run. I gotta say, if he keeps this pace up, I'm curious to see what he can accomplish in the feature race here in a few laps.
What can he do? What can anybody do to try and run down Jose Solis Jr., who was a group winner last time out 1 week ago, trying to become an LCQ winner this time out and get his way into the final. He's run a lot of races. The first 2 tournaments, he ran in every single possible race. He ran his first round race, the LCQ for the groups, the second round race, the semifinal, the LCQ for the groups, and then the final, and then broke that streak at Iowa. And now is still more well-versed and experienced in this tournament format than anyone. I think he's completed more laps than anyone else in the college series this year. There's a certified Justin Malillo stat for him to potentially go track down. But what matters right now, he's got pace, he's got speed, he's got track position as well. The question will be whether or not Daniel Nanny wants to try and take it here in the final corner.
Yeah, right now it's looking like he is interested in at least trying to compete for it. But here we go. We're about to see our 10 that make it through.
How about this? 3 wide for second, all behind Jose Solis Jr. It was Daniel Nanny who got the job done by 100th of a second over Jacob Bradley to get the second spot. So Nanny was able to hang on ever so slightly to P2. He'll roll off 17th for the finale. Malachi Drake trying to wrap up his campaign here. Going to finish in the 19th position in this LCQ. He is done. He will head towards the Old Dominion Classic, and Jose Solis Jr. and everybody else that you see on this page, Taylor Burris, all these drivers in the top 10 going to be racing for the money in a little bit.
How about a couple of different colleges who we have not seen make it to the finals as well? I mean, Illinois State, if I remember correctly, for Connor Berkey, this will be the debut for that college and for him into the final round. We have, if I remember correctly, Jack Stoneman, unfortunately, not going to be able to move on, but we do have at least one UNC Charlotte driver going head-to-head with a UNOH driver here in the final round. So it's going to be an exciting one and tough break for a lot of other drivers who we thought could have what it takes, but we'll see them in Martinsville in a month's time.
Connor Trafari is the UNC Charlotte driver that you referenced. He is going and making his way off into the finals. We are going to take a quick commercial break, but we will be back on the other side of it with the finale of the Great Lakes Gauntlets. Don't go anywhere. More action for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by Players College League coming your way from Michigan next.
Welcome to Sunday at full throttle. Oranges don't whisper. They roar. This is where you remember what it's like to feel something.
Heart racing with your people, screaming your damn lungs out.
Let's go! So America, start your engines!
Times they come around, can't let them bring you down, 'cause you're either living life or letting it pass by.
Racing isn't just a game. It's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo! My turn, Bubba.
Feel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. And by Play vs. College League, the largest collegiate community bringing in the new era of esports for students across the country. Learn more at pcl.gg. And by NASCAR 25. Available now on the PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, and on PC with Steam. For more information, visit NASCAR25.com.
Welcome back to coverage of the Great Lakes Gauntlet for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by Play vs. College League. A reminder that if you have registered and competed in at least one time attack throughout this college series season, you'll be automatically entered for a chance to win a racing prize pack, including a Logitech G923 True Force racing wheel and pedal set for the Xbox or PC, iRacing credits, and a custom eNASCAR College iRacing Series t-shirt. And for more information on our We Got Wheels giveaway, you can log on to pcl.gg/pages/eNASCAR or scan that QR code on the bottom portion of your screen. Also worth noting that iRacing Arcade is coming out on March 3rd. Wish listing is something you can do now on Steam. Playing the demo is something that you can do now on Steam. Console folks, you'll see this title arrive your way later on in 2026, but the PC folks going to get the first crack at this. And does this not look like an absolute blast, Joe Peak?
It is a ton of fun. I've tried the demo, like I said a little bit earlier, and it is a hoot. I cannot wait to get to try all the different cars and, of course, all the different tracks as well, because, I mean, it just looks like so much fun. This is definitely the sort of game that I would try to get my friends hooked on, to get them a little bit more into racing.
Lots of fun, I think, to be had. There's some new tracks also to iRacing Studios that we can talk about as well. This is a look at the watch party on the campus of Belmont Abbey College in Belmont, North Carolina. You see some of the students in their motorsports management program getting ready to watch their fellow compatriot Jake Innish make his debut in a finale for the first time this season. And eventually we'll have this fun moment where they turn their heads and they look up and they realize, oh, we're going to be on the broadcast here. And then they might make some noise. But for now, they have no idea what's coming their way. There it is, right on cue. Right. Perfect timing, right, Joe?
Exactly. I was kind of watching the screen in the corner there, waiting to see when it starts to crop up. I think they're on a just slight bit of delay.
Suspect that might be the YouTube feed they're watching on TV as we get set to rock and roll for a finale that will be tons of fun, I think. This Great Lakes Gauntlet has showcased a lot of really, really strong racing, good driving, high-stakes moves here. And now it is time. We have talked, we have discussed, we have spoken about threats ad nauseum over the last 2 weeks. It's time to put our money where our mouth is and see who comes home with the Great Lakes Gauntlet. Parker White representing the University of Maine at Augusta on pole alongside our points leader representing the Dinos of the University of Calgary, Connor Yarashak. Bradley Erickson for Arizona State rolls on third. He's joined on the outside of row 2 by The Ohio State University's Matthew Morton. Matthew Zwack representing the Michigan Wolverines and Carson Bowers trying to go boiler up for Purdue starting 5th and 6th.
Timothy Holmes will be in row 4 with Daniel Falkingham alongside him. Rounding out your top 10 is Logan Clampett and Jake Inez in row 5. Row 6 will find Dylan Basin and Nick Miller here in He's Moving On.
After that, it's Abraham Vila in 13th with Connor Trafari for UNNC. Starting from 14th, Nathan Scott for UNLV will start P15. He'll have Jose Solis Jr. to his outside. Row 9 has Daniel Nanny in 17th and Jacob Bradley for Purdue with an all-Indiana row number 9.
Triton College's Adam Garza starts 19th, 20th is Western Connecticut State's Jonathan Evans. Jeremy Burns, the Longwood Lancer, rolls off 21st. 22nd is the Shocker from Wichita State, Lane Graves. Another Charlotte 49er in Blake Wynn, going to roll off from 23rd. Ethan Shapiro from Babson College begins from 24th. And the 25th and final starter in the finale for the Great Lakes Gauntlet is the Redbird from Illinois State, Connor Berkey, who completes this grid and gets set to rock and roll. Look at the representation from the Big Ten in this shot. Michigan, Purdue, and Ohio State. We are on Big Ten turf, so I suppose that's appropriate, Taylor Burris, and in a sense, that does make a ton of sense. We'll get set to rock and roll in a little bit, but for now, we turn our attention to our Logitech G race analysis here in the Great Lakes Gauntlet. Taylor, how about you take us through everything we need to know?
For the final time here in the Great Lakes Gauntlet, we're going to go 38 laps around the circuit. We do have a little bit of things different now. We have 2 sets of tires ready for these drivers in case we do have some caution as they get themselves ready to go racing here. The winner wins $3,000 in scholarship funds. 2
tire sets, 3 ring white checkers, cautions are enabled here if we need them. And as you said, $3,000 in scholarship money to the winner. And Parker White's the only person starting ahead of our points leader, trying to go for 3 in a row. No one has done that so far as tournaments are concerned. The last person to do that so far as college series races are concerned, we talked about it earlier, Logan Clampett won 3 races in the spring of 2023 in a row. Only one driver has won 4 races in a row. That was Stephen Wilson out of the University of Iowa. So Yarashak with the opportunity to join 2 names in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series history books. And oh, by the way, both of them ended up going on to win championships in this series. So, Joe Peak, maybe my math is nuts, but pretty good company to keep.
Well, and a good sign as well. So we'll see if the numbers do not lie, because we're about to go green.
38 laps to settle the Great Lakes Gauntlet. Parker White from the University of Maine at Augusta and the University of Calgary's Connor Yarashak get us underway. And we are off and running with the Great Lakes Gauntlet, and immediately drivers starting to try and peek in and out of line and see whether or not the speed is down low or up top on this initial first lap.
The calm before the storm here as drivers will go 2 by 2. A couple of drivers going to go up to the top side, 3 wide, as Jake Inez will try to lead the charge here with a big run off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. 3 wide continues on 2 rows deep and further back as drivers jockey for position on the opening lap.
Continuing to roll there. Good moves from Innes. Good moves from Daniel Falkingham to Innes, trying to tuck in behind. Get a good run. 3 wide for the, third position officially. Is Parker White trying to keep Connor Yarashak at bay. But Yarashak with that great run continued to roll, continued to make moves. And now they're starting to fan out there. That high line already getting some speed here on lap 2.
Not a great surprise, and looking to fan out on this one. This is definitely going to be hard to navigate. This is where that patience once again returns. You have to be methodical about how you move up the field, because now you have the laps to do it, but you're not a cat out there. You do not have 9 lives.
You don't. You have to manage this, and this is one of the longest races you're going to see in this college series, both by lap count and both by distance. We go on board here with Timmy Holmes right in behind Innes there, right on the edge of the top 5. Holmes currently in the 9th spot, but it's all pretty much nose to tail, and you see how nose to tail it is. Everybody had to check up on corner entry because the people in front of this group just didn't have anywhere to go.
It's like now with that dirty air in front of them, it's preventing them from getting the runs they need, as we're going to go 4 wide behind Timothy Holmes here as they try to negotiate through this traffic of drivers. There you see Dylan Basin working with Logan Clampett on the bottom as they try to work their way through.
Oh, Yarashak didn't get a great run out of the corner. He might have gotten a little bit tight. 4, is that 5 wide, I think? That is 5 wide in the middle of the front straightaway as Jake Innes is dead center of it. Now back to 4, but still, look at these trucks fanning out at Michigan, Joe Pete.
And this is why these drivers manage to make it into this one. They have the skill to manage that situation. We're only ticking off lap 4, the start of lap 4, going 5 wide. And normally I would say maybe that's a bit too much, but everybody stayed pretty well calm in what could have been a bad situation.
That could have been a big mix-up. I have a feeling we're still going to see it coming out of turn 4 once they get back to the front stretch. We've seen a lot of drivers continuing to fight their way up towards the front of the field and try and take it 3 or 4 wide in some places. They keep rolling, though. Good stuff, though, working from Connor Yarashak. Falkingham out in control of this. Innes with the run, trying to go to the inside of Matthews Whack to get a spot in the top 5.
I gotta say, Jake Innes has put on an incredible run this entire gauntlet the past 2 weeks here. We've seen him up there in mixing the field, but so far, this is one of his best performances here early on at Michigan.
The question is, how much can you abuse those tires on the bottom? We've seen drivers do that and run into trouble really quickly. So if you're going to run the bottom, especially once these tires are down at the 10, you got to start making moves because you're going to start losing that grip pretty quickly. So it's something you can do for sure, but it's something where you need to find that track position quickly and lock it in, because the later we get into these runs, the harder it is to keep that track position.
That's for sure. It's always tougher when you lack that grip. Right now you can kind of move around, pick where you want to go. So you do have to make use of it while you can. You just can't overdo it, because then you're not going to have it later on as we get some more 4 wide back there once again. The other thing I'm seeing a lot here, James, is magnificent runs coming off of 2. There are drivers that are an absolute bullet coming off the high side, and that could come to their advantage, or it could cause some problems, because I've also been seeing a lot of late shifts in lanes.
Yeah, a lot of sort of late blocks. Like we saw Aaron Brown get really snake bitten by a late block or set up blocks in his semifinal. Did not make it into this final. I think that's something that these drivers will have kept in mind and will have tried to account for as Yarashak now continuing to push. You got a good look at Logan Clampett here, running in the 7th position, continuing to make a charge. Parker White there. Adam Garza, though, has had the drive so far of anybody in this finale. 14 spots up on the board from 19th to 5th. Fabulous work from Garza as you continue to see the battle in the mid-pack.
As we watch on here, watching through the field, Jacob Bradley making some runs up through the field. And as they do so, I'm watching on. Here we go, on board with Jake Inez. There's the watch party as he tries to fight his way back through the field, dropping outside the top 10. And that car is trucking bumpy through the middle of the corner. You see him trying to hold on as they come off of turn number 2, side by side. Big run as he gets to the back bumper of Manny.
Well, you can see him sort of fighting the truck there in the middle of the corner. I have to imagine that right rear is a little bit warmer than some of the other trucks around him, just with the running he did on the inside. So now I think he's running topside just to try and cool off the right rear and give himself an opportunity to make a charge to the field. So he won't mind being high. He'll mind a little bit being in the fence, but still continuing to work his way through the field is Innes. He's been all over the place, now currently scored in the 15th position.
You got to be very careful about contact with the wall or other trucks, honestly. As we have mentioned previously during tonight, aerodynamics so important at this track. You don't want to crinkle the bodywork because that could make life so much harder trying to make moves later on.
Adam Garza. Did I hear a blip maybe? People trying to maybe clutch and coast just a hair on corner entry? That might be something. I'm about to say that might be something we want to keep an eye on. 38 laps, longest race and run. Fuel absolutely could be something. So let's listen to Adam Garza as he goes into turn 1, see if we can catch this. Hard to tell in the pack, I think. But it brings up a fair point that there definitely, I imagine, there's got to be somebody in this group, Taylor Burris, who's at least thinking about maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel.
I would have to agree with you on that, James. Somebody is going to try to go all the way, go the distance here at Michigan. It can be done, but you got to start saving as soon as you cross that line.
You really do have to manage your equipment in this. This is 38 laps here at Michigan, and for as much as we've seen people losing control on exits, especially in 2 and 4, tire management is going to matter in this finale more than any other round we've seen, and I think we're going to see a dimension of it that just has not been present, I think, for a lot of these drivers, just because we haven't raced that much. We haven't raced much longer than 15 laps. The only time we've gone longer than that was for the second round races a week ago. So these drivers don't have a big notebook to figure out where the tire wear sits on a 38-lap run, much less a 30-lap run.
And one thing that we haven't mentioned here is that the track conditions have changed since our heat races. They were down in the 75 degrees, 70 or so degrees on the track. It's now up into the 90s. I think that's part of why we're seeing these things slip and slide around so much more. This is a much harder pop quiz for these drivers.
Absolutely. Keeping an eye on Daniel Falkingham, who did clutch in the middle of the corner. Matthew Morton just behind him representing Ohio State. So Falkingham, you can hear that blip. You may be able to hear it in the center of the corner again when we get to turn 3. I'll lay out and we'll see whether or not we catch him do it again. Right there, you hear that where it comes off right in the center of the corner where Falkingham is hitting the clutch to lose speed on that race car. It's not only to slow him down to make sure he can get the run out of the corner that he wants, that's also to save fuel. So these drivers just taking every little inch that they can in order to give themselves some form of advantage. And if you're Falkingham, you're P2, why not? Nobody's really particularly forcing the issue on you.
No, they're certainly not. They're trying to do every which way they can to save that fuel. Try to, if not go the distance, put as least amount of fuel as possible in their truck when they do come down pit road. Will be so helpful to try to get them back on the track as quickly as possible as we watch this gaggle of trucks. Connor Yarashak trying to work his way forward, but just stuck in that dirty air. This is his first time really being this far back in a group of drivers here in any of the races he's competed in.
It's a very interesting point, but I have to believe that Yarashak's got some sort of game plan or idea right on the rear bumper there of Bradley Erickson. And now to the fence he will go to try and find some racing room and some clean air and some kind of run off the corner, which if you can hit it off the fence, there's something to be said about that.
And, you know, I mean, to bring another musical reference in, while some are trying to go the distance, others maybe are going for speed.
For speed,
If you stay up at the front, a lot less chance of getting caught up in some of the messes that we have seen. So there's, you know, there's a back and forth to each of those. You have to figure out which you feel more comfortable doing and which you think is going to play out better, because this isn't an evolving race. So you have to try and feel out how this is going to play out.
Continuing to work our way here. This is the representative from Babson College. This is Superior out of West Hills, New York. Let's take a listen coming out of turn 3 and see if there might be any fuel saving going on here. Clean as a whistle there, so no fuel save on this truck, but maybe an opportunity to stay out of any sort of mess. Remember, if you get damaged, there's a caution, you get it cleaned up, but this is such an aero-sensitive track. Any sort of cosmetic damage at all is going to end up being a problem.
Also, the thing to keep in mind as well is he's probably getting still a little bit of the toe of the draft, which can help save a little bit of fuel for him. Not as much as clutching, but still a big help as we watch this 3 wide off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Logan Clampett stuck in the middle and now continues to drop back as he tries to find an opening to get out of there.
It's an interesting point here, I think. We've seen the Yarashaks, the Clampets, and a lot of these drivers who have consistently been top 5 in these finals, they have not been able to find a space as Nathan Scott almost got into it there with Nick Miller. That was almost big trouble down the front straightaway, and that sets us up for another 3 or 4 wide setup into the corner again.
Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit complicated because so many different drivers are taking different methods out there, and that means different lines, the way it's handling off the corner. Your spotter has to be working double time to keep you up to speed on what is happening around you in these situations.
Continuing to work our way around Michigan. We're already halfway through. We've gone green so far. We're going to get 2 cross flags here in just a few laps. So contact a little bit further back there. 1 truck on its side. It's Connor Berkey to bring out the first yellow of the evening.
Actually managing to get a little bit of air this time, which we have seen already, but I think the first time, at least we've caught it on camera for tonight's events, Berkey actually did land on all 4 pieces of rubber and is still going, actually.
I don't think that's the kind of flying that Redbird envisioned in this race, Taylor Burris. I could be wrong, but...
No, that Redbird definitely did not expect his wings to take off that time by.
That's not the kind of flying that he wants to be doing at a race like this. We'll get a look at that in a little bit. But for now, I think the important thing to note, we talked about fuel, we talked about clutching and coasting, we made the point of Daniel Falkenham trying to save. That's all going out the window because I would expect every single driver in this field is about to come down pit road for 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles.
Yep, 100%. This is an easy call. I think there's not really much advantage to try to move your way to the front at this side because, again, we don't know if we're going to get another yellow. Yes, right. Things have been spicy, but, I mean, we went until lap 18 for our first.
And this is also going to come right at the halfway point, A. B, for as much as we've seen the right rear matter in these races, here's a chance to get a fresh right rear tire so you can send it on the bottom for a little bit if you want. You got to manage it for another 19 laps, maybe more, but something to consider is let's take a look at what happened to Connor Berkey. There was contact between Berkey and Carson Bowers, and he goes over. And just the slightest contact there with Jake Innes before air got underneath Berkey's machine, spins him around.
I'm not sure he even got any damage from that, from what it looked like.
I couldn't tell. It's close. That'd be a certified moment when you hit the key command of the car to cross-check damage and see where you are or aren't. But just looking at pit times here, 14.5 seconds on pit road for Innes. So that would suggest to me no damage on his Chevrolet Silverado.
Yeah, he didn't. And we're seeing Purdue Indy won the race off pit road, so some strategy calls on pit road to see who could come out on top.
Oh yeah, I can tell you I can cover that one very easily. Daniel Falkenham at a pit stop of 13.9 seconds. Everybody else was anywhere from 13.9 to 14.7. Usually, the one driver that was not in that time bracket, Jacob Bradley at a 9.3. And Joe Peak, that means one thing and one thing only. You want to clue our audience in, perhaps?
Did not take 4 fresh rubbers. He is going to take a little bit of a gamble.
He took 2 instead of 4, you would presume, on the right side. So Bradley on 2, everybody else on 4. Burris, not that these restarts haven't been pretty chaotic already, but now We are near Detroit Rock City. We might as well crank that up to 11 alongside everything else too. Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's just a little bit difficult, but we'll see there. But of course, you can make these same type of pit stop calls on the NASCAR 25, which is available now on Steam, PS5, and the Xbox Series S.
And X, and Steam. And the Gold Edition features the full base game and the Season Pass, which includes a variety of in-game currency and bonuses, as well as multiple DLC packs offering 230-plus paint schemes and fire suits. Visit NASCAR25.com for more information on that. Gentlemen, I have a new appreciation for Lime Rock Park, and I know I've said that a few times in these broadcasts, but that place, it's a blast. It's incredibly difficult on NASCAR 25, and for as much as Parker Klickerman raves about that track, friend of iRacing, of course, in real life, I learned a lot about myself as a driver real quick trying to get around that in an ARCA car and then a Craftsman truck. What about y'all?
It's a deceptive bull ring for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody who's not used to road racing might think it looks simple, and I can assure you it is not.
Yes.
To agree with you on that, it is one of the most difficult bull rings, I would have to say, in the world of motorsports.
It is kind of a short track of a road course. It's not excessively complex, but you got a lot of tight turns there. Got a lot of places where you have to hit your marks, elevation changes that upset whatever vehicle you're working with. So you have to manage all of these things, and a great place to go race if you get your hands on NASCAR 25. 19 laps left, going to be 18 laps left to go. Jacob Bradley, the only driver on two tires in this black and gold Purdue University in Indianapolis machine, leading the front of the field. But for how long? Once these trucks get up to full zone through 1 and 2, he's okay for now. But the two tires, a gamble where if you're Bradley, you would love to see a caution as soon as possible.
Well, so far it's working out for him as they come off of turn number 2 with that draft helping him out here. That clean air to the nose of his Chevrolet. It's going to be a big help as here comes Daniel Falkingham, though, to the inside.
Daniel Falkingham, no time wasting this end. There's the wiggle from Jacob Bradley. No traction on those Eagles compared to everybody else. He got loose in the corner, and that's going to open up the door for everybody to get underneath the freight train. He's down to 5th. He could be down to 6th by the time they get to turn 1.
Saw one truck getting down low. Looks like thankfully got away with it, but with some near contact on the straightaway. We've already had issues with that. Is you got to be aware of when you are fully clear. The other thing that we haven't touched on, it's not just maybe a lack of grip. That's going to be very different handling from what you're used to. The truck was set up to be completely balanced across, and when you've only taken 2 tires, that means it's going to be unfamiliar territory.
This could get very fun on board. Matthew Morton right outside the top 10 representing the Ohio State University. Man, would he love to get a win here, just because for those unfamiliar, the folks at Ohio State don't particularly like the state of Michigan or a school in Ann Arbor. There's a reason they call it that team up north.
I mean, talk about an upset here if we saw Matthew Morton take home the win here at Michigan. Let's just say Ann Arbor will be in an uproar here tonight.
Not exactly the preferred outcome for all the Michigan representatives in this field as Falkingham continues to lead. Battle a little bit further back. Adam Garza, who's had a fabulous race. So one truck sideways and spinning. A little bit further back in the field, it's Dylan Basin who's going to bring out the second caution of the evening and collect a few more in the back as well.
I think he got a little bit of help to start it off. We couldn't quite see from our angles, but I do believe there was some contact that kind of sent this one spinning out of control quite literally, and a lot of trucks getting caught up in the process. Sounds like that Belmont may have unfortunately been a part of the incident as well, and this is where we get that notorious cautions breed cautions. Drivers need to watch out when they get these restarts, because it's going to be like the start all over again, except everybody's even more anxious.
So here's a look. There's the contact with Dylan Basin and Jose Solis Jr. And Basin tries to correct, makes contact with Nick Miller, and Jake Innish nowhere to go up on that top side. And looks like Connor Berkey got a piece of it too.
Yeah, it's a tough break indeed. Dylan Basin as well. I mean, that's not going to be helpful for him in the point standings for sure, especially for being a former winner of the season and being just on the cusp of a top 10 in the championship.
So Falkingham now in the lead. I guess this kind of worked, perhaps, if you're Jacob Bradley, because now you've got the opportunity to potentially go down for tires if you so choose. So certainly a thought here. I think I'd wonder you'd almost expect him to take him at some point, yeah?
I mean
go ahead.
I was going to say he could, but also why risk that factor as we take a look at the point standings with Yarashak holding on to a 19 points.
Now, one thing to note is that Bradley, I'm showing him down in 21st right now. So he's already lost the track position. I actually feel like maybe it would be worth it for him to come on in. Bad news for fans of Dylan Basin as well. He got the dreaded meatball flag. He had to come in to take repairs as everybody else was able to get back out and stay on the lead lap.
So while we have a moment, while some of the drivers in the back end of the field come down to pit road, a reminder that iRacing Arcade will release on Steam on March 3rd. You can wishlist it now, play the demo. It's coming to consoles later this year. And how about this? I love this piece in particular. We've not had the chance to talk about it, but iRacing Studios debuts for Bahrain and Kyalami. And then you're seeing clips here. Bahrain there. Here's Imola, Mexico City, Miami, the Autodrome. You see right here on screen. New tracks coming into the world of iRacing Studios, courtesy of iRacing Arcade, which I think is really neat to see, Taylor.
Absolutely, and looking forward to trying out some of these variety of tracks. I mean, we are breaking into uncharted territories here in iRacing Studios with iRacing Arcade, but we know that they're going to do right, take their time, make sure everything is good to go before the full release happens on March 3rd.
Also, and Joe Peak, you might be able to correct me on this, but if my math is correct, across the iRacing universe, iRacing and Studios combined, Kyalami, I believe, let's get a good look at Tsukuba here, but Kyalami, I believe, is the first African circuit to make an appearance in the iRacing universe.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I don't think we have had any on that continent yet that have showed up on iRacing. I'm excited for it because it's personally one of my favorites.
It's a great racetrack, former home of the South African Grand Prix, and when you talk about race cars down in Africa, that's a place that usually gets shortlisted. Here's a good look at what Carson Bowers saw in this. You see Dylan Basin there coming up to the middle of the screen, that yellow spoiler, spinning, and almost getting collected and all that in the end.
He was so close of getting that truck saved pretty quickly, but unfortunately, tough break for Basin. Carson Bowers will still survive for another time.
So Bowers is going to make it through all that. He's got an opportunity to make something happen from 14th. Daniel Falkingham is your leader. We'll have 11 laps to go. Timmy Holmes in the mix. And just looking through the field, a continued tip of the cap to Triton College's Adam Garza, who is the hard charger of this race so far. Started in the 19th position, currently scored in 8th, up 11 positions, and on the cusp of potentially taking some scholarship money too.
Yeah, I mean, a great job in what has turned out to be a bit of a frantic one here for the feature, especially in this sort of latter half of the race. Those names up at the top, though, that you see here with just 12 laps to go, Falkingham, Holmes, like you mentioned, Swack, Parker White, Bradley Erickson, Connor Yarashak. Man, that's going to be a tough crowd to beat.
Just an unbelievably deep group of drivers in the top 10 spots in this race. A tremendous amount of talent that is going to fight it out amongst themselves to see who takes home the biggest piece of the scholarship pie. $3,000 in scholarship money on offer to the winner of this race. Green flag coming with 11 laps to go. Falkingham and Timmy Holmes leading us to green, and there is the start that the outside lane did not want to see. The inside lane got going. Holmes was caught napping. Zwag is going to go to second before they get to turn one, and I wonder where Bradley Erickson is going to go.
Well, Bradley Erickson's going to follow him and go for third position to the inside. You saw a couple of trucks decide to try to form a third lane because of that checkup, but they were able to get back in line before they crossed the line. So it's going to be interesting to see here as we see Falkingham and Zwack go to the top side to lead the train.
Zwack now with the opportunity to try and win back-to-back at Michigan. He won the race here last season, looking for the tournament win later. Further back, they are all over each other for track position. And Connor Yarashak and Logan Clamp at 1 and 2 of the points right in the middle of this. This is 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. Just add a whole bunch of trucks in there.
Part of the problem with this is now that we've gotten a couple of yellows, that's the complexion of the race changing. That's why you're seeing everybody in such a hurry to get up to the front. You do not know how many laps you have as we nearly get an accident. Oh, maybe we do. Oh, somehow we get away with it.
I could not tell immediately who that was, but Parker White somehow managed to keep it in one piece after getting some contact there. Got sort of squeezed between Adam Garza, and now trouble in the back straightaway. And now they go spinning, and Connor Yarashak is one of the drivers that spins, as it was Parker White who hit the pit road attenuator, but the points leader is involved with this yellow with 9 laps to go.
How about Parker White being the innocent bystander in both situations? He nearly saved it. He's happy. He's having a good time with it, being a good sport, and then just gets collected in a second one that had nowhere near all of a sudden, just couldn't avoid the incident.
Really, really tough and tricky moment for a lot of these drivers. We will have a lot to break down looking at this replay. Keep an eye on Parker White up top, sort of the green and navy blue and white car there. Yarashak initially actually is where this starts. Contact with Garza. He's sideways. Poor Parker White just has nowhere to go because Yarashak was trying to save it.
Ooh, and that was a massive hit. I'm amazed he also did not get a meatball flag out of that. He actually had to reverse and thankfully didn't cop a disqualification for it to get onto the track because he hadn't hit the commitment cones yet. So he was allowed to get back onto the racetrack, but had to kind of go around the wall so that he could stay on the lead lap.
Let's turn our attention now to Taylor Burris, who is caught up with Parker White.
Well, we are here with Parker White. Parker, I got to say, you pulled off probably the biggest save of the year so far with what you were trying to hold on, but unfortunately got caught up with Yarashak. I mean, walk us through that whole lap right there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened up at 2, but I thought for sure I was going to be wrecked there, but yeah, we got crashed at the end of the lap. So I ended up getting wrecked, just not where I thought I was going to get crashed, but I'm not sure if that was an intent wreck or something. I don't think it was. I haven't seen the replay, but at least it was a pretty cool crash. I hit the pit barrels, so.
Well, I mean, this is your first time back this season here. Are we expecting to see you at Martinsville or Homestead for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, I think I'm free for the rest of the races, so I should be there.
All right, we look forward to seeing you as Parker White, looking to try to at least get back on the track before things end, and we'll see him at Martinsville.
So Parker White will spend some time on pit road to try and fix the damage. Connor Yarashak does too, but here is the thing. I think. Taylor and Joe. Yarashak has currently scored 20th. Logan Clampett has currently scored 5th. If you're Clampett, this becomes a huge game of risk or reward because you could go try and win this race. But with where you are sitting, you are going to eat into the gap that Yarashak had built up on the rest of this field. The point situation is almost certainly going to look different. Yarashak's got enough damage to where I'm not sure if Yarashak will be able to get that truck repaired 100% before races end. You take a look at the live points in your standing. It is down to a 4-point lead for Yarashak, and it is then Bradley Erickson in second, tied with Clampett, 4 points back of all of this. And then old Daniel Falkenham's in the mix too with 8 points. Garza even 16 points back. So this is an opportunity if you are anybody, I think especially in the top 5, 10-ish in points, to make something all the way back to Matthews Whack there in 8th.
Yeah, that's where I would say is where the championship will be able to be played out now. Those who are in the top 8. I would say Dylan Basin if it wasn't for him getting caught up in that incident. So looks like that Calgary truck seems pretty fixed up for sure. So Calgary hard at work. So maybe they call the football team up to come and fix the truck to make sure it got ready to go back out for this 7-lap dash.
Here's the problem. Even if the truck is fixed up and he doesn't have any damage of some form, he still does not have the track position that Falkingham does, that Clampett does, that Garza does, that Swack does. So good luck racing your way all the way through this field. It's not impossible, but going to be a challenge that Connor Yarashak is going to have to try and pull to salvage as many points as he can and can make this championship fight as difficult as he can for everybody else trying to run our points leader down. The drivers are single file for this restart that will come with 6 laps to go. It's the University of Maine at Machias as Daniel Falkingham that will lead us to green, and Matthew Zwack trying to win his home race for the second season in a row, getting after it as we go back to green flag racing here at Michigan. And look at the move from Matthew Morton. He wasted no time going to the inside.
No, but it copped him a black flag. Unfortunately, we'll see if it gets cleared or not, but he has popped out of line and made a pass before they got to the start finish. 5 wide on the very first 2 corners on back to green flag racing.
That may end up benefiting Yarashak as we know this. Oh, there goes Abraham Vila, who spins around and clips Morton, and now they all go spinning down the back straightaway, and the yellow flag comes out once again.
At least they had a lot of room to try and avoid, so that wasn't as big of an accident as it could have been with everybody so packed up. But the things have just boiled over a little bit. Like I said, the complexion of the race is changing because of all the yellows. People are making moves that maybe are ambitious, but too much so in some situations. So this is just going to feed in on itself. We do have, for what it's worth, 3 green-white checkers waiting if we get there, but we haven't reached that yet.
We are almost certainly going to lean into a green-white checker finish here, just based upon how this is going to fan out. It's going to be close to a green-white checker at least, depending on how this caution sets up. And then, yes, to your point, Joe Peak, 3 green-white checkers available for this field if we need them. Now, other point worth making in this right off the bat, Connor Yarashak gained about 7 spots by my math. Maybe 6 spots.
I think it was 4.
4
it was
spots
19th
still.
at the restart. Yeah.
Okay. So 19th to 16th, but still. Positions. Points. Things that if you're Logan Clampett and company and that side of the points equation, you do not want to see. Here's an on board with Matthew Morton to take a look at what happened here, Taylor Burris.
Yeah, as we ride on board with Matthew Morton, big-time checkup right there, which caused a lot of issues, and also the penalty for Morton because of that. And then here we go, down into turn number 1, pushing, beating, and banging 4 wide. That little bobble right there from Evans caused that 5 wide situation. Then Abraham Vila thought he was clear enough to come across the nose of Adam Garza, collects several others, Daniel, Nanny, Scott, and company.
Well, at that point, you run out of room. I cannot believe I'm actually saying that at Michigan of all places, but you get to a point where, eventually, Joe Peak, even 5 wide, sometimes is too much for this place.
There's a physical limit for the track, especially in the corners. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it wound up going that way this late on. We managed it in the very early stages of the race, but it's just a little bit too much to ask at this point. I am impressed with those that managed to make up spots in such time, but I wonder how many times you can manage that as we cut down closer and closer to the finish.
As some trucks get fixed up, some trucks take tires, some trucks wait for the restart. We would like to remind you that the next broadcast here on eNASCAR.com/live is coming your way next Tuesday night for the 3rd race of eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series qualifying round 3 from the Rockingham Speedway. 200 laps for the trucks of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is some of the brightest and best on the oval side of iRacing compete for their opportunity to enter free agency and potentially become a driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. That broadcast coming your way Tuesday, February 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern for the race, 7:30 for Countdown to Green, all headed your way next Tuesday night, February 24th, eNASCAR.com/live. That should be one of the best races of the year. If you want a driver's track, Taylor Burris, the Rock is about as good as it gets. Just ask Raleigh native and noted Rockingham Speedway aficionado Blake McCandless.
Absolutely. And one of the cool things that we've been doing is not just covering the top split, but also covering at least the top 3 to 4 splits as well, giving a showcase to some of the other drivers who are trying to find their way into the chance of making it to the top level.
Not everybody who races in the top split is going to gain the most points. Sometimes it's better to be in second or third split and get a really good finish. As we look at Connor Yarashak and we see what unfolded in front of him, and the game plan there was go top and then find a place. And thankfully there's enough width on the back straightaway to where when they start moving and wrecking around, you can find a little bit of space somewhere somehow.
Could be a championship winning move right there with just him avoiding that and stopping the bleeding of what his championship lead was going into this next round.
Where he lands in this is going to be key, I think, to your point, Taylor, about whether or not that counts as a championship winning save of track position. This is a natural green-white checker that we are going to have here, so it does not factor into the 3 green-white checkers, but we have them if we need them, and we will see if we need them. Falkingham and Zwack in control of this, back to double file here for potentially the last 2 laps of this race. Green flag going to come out. Where will they go? What kind of jump does Falkingham get? The answer is a pretty good one on that inside line. Clear of Matthew Zwack. So to the top line, Falkingham will go. Bradley Erickson now looking to the bottom of Matthew Zwack as Zwack will try and fight back up high.
Magic number you're looking for is 1 to go. Once we get that white flag, the race is official. We're not going to get it because we get a yellow right away.
And the yellow, I believe, was for Abraham Vila, who got loose in the middle of the corner and got a little bit of help just the same as they tried to work their way through turn 1. Falkingham definitely not happy. Erickson, I think, maybe a little confused more than anything else. Just trying to figure out, why do we get a yellow for that? I think is what I saw him say. Not sure. So, but Vila, we do know, was the one who went around. And the yellow flag will put us into green-white checker protocol.
Tough break right there, and already shutting off the engine to his truck for Falkingham to make sure he can have enough fuel to the end.
Fuel should not be a huge consideration, but if you're talking about maybe handling of your truck and whether or not you want a little bit more balance between the front and the rear weight distribution, we'll see. Taylor Burris, let's look at Abraham Vila. Let's see what happened here.
Well, he tried to stick it 3 wide. He tried to go for the gap to make it 4. There was not a gap, and around he will go. And saves it pretty quickly. So, yeah, a little bit of a question mark from, like we saw with Falkingham and Erickson, why there was a caution.
Turn our attention to Joe Peak, who is now with Daniel Falkingham.
Indeed, Daniel, you seem to be none too pleased about that yellow coming out. What about this puts a kink in your plans?
Yeah, just having to keep doing restarts because that gives the guys a better chance to try to guess when I'm going on the restarts. Just want to get to that white flag so we can just settle this thing, but I'm having to keep doing this over and over. So just got to try to keep figuring out how to launch in the restart so they can't match me, because if Zwack just times it perfectly on my outside, it's game over. So yeah, so hopefully we can just get around and try to survive, because it's been a messy race, but thankfully we haven't had to worry about too much pit strategy, because early in the race we were having to worry about fuel, but now we're just worrying about trying not to wreck. So yeah, just hopefully we just get this done on the next one. We just get this thing over with.
Track temps are nearly 20 degrees hotter than what you guys saw in the heats. How has that affected how the trucks have been handling?
Yeah, it's definitely a handful, especially like when someone gets on your rear end. Like, it makes you just have so much more looser, and plus just with higher track time, just less grip, where you can't be in the throttle as much as we were. Because like we were all brawling in the heat races, but in this race, it's been a little bit more settled because handling's just come into a lot more with the tires falling off just because of the track temp. So definitely got to manage tires a little bit more, which what we were all doing there at the beginning, managing fuel, managing tires. But now with that, just the way the racing is right now, it's just all out brawl. So yeah, track temp definitely caused quite a bit of interesting race, but now it's just it's really going to turn, definitely going to be a big factor, because people are going to try to go full send. It's probably not going to stick for them. So definitely intrigued to see how this is going to play out.
All right, well, we'll let you focus on the jabs and the blocks, and best of luck.
We're here with Matthew Morton here, who's going to lead us to the green flag. Matthew, I got to say, you got some competition that's going to be putting some pressure on you, as well as also a little bit of college rivalry, as you got Matthew Zwack, who's looking to try to make a hometown win.
It's a little weird of a scenario. I'm not going to lead the field of the green flag here.
Get it back on the lead lap.
I had to pit there because I had a penalty and had to serve it right there on the restart. So just hoping we're going to make it through the eventual wreck here on this green-white checkered, and hopefully we don't get caught in the wreck.
Well, we wish you the best of luck here, and hopefully you can try to get a couple extra points.
Thank you.
All right. So you heard Matthew Morton say an eventual wreck. I want to pull that pair of words there.
Confidence.
No, absolutely no guessing as to what he thinks is going to happen, Joe Peak. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm kind of on his side, if I'm honest. The way this race has been going in the second half, it has unraveled into a pretty messy, as we heard Daniel describe it, brawl between these drivers. So hopefully we will see eventually a green finish, but how many tries will it take?
Ready to go? Maybe ready for the last time? Maybe. We are potentially done with things. Who knows?
Schrodinger's finish.
About to say, a great way to frame it as we get set for our first of potentially 3 green-white checkers and a great start. Buckingham did not let Zwack get the jump on the outside. He's going to clear Zwack easily going into turn 1, but Zwack going to be able to stay ahead of Bradley Erickson. That's also key for Michigan's zone.
Can we keep it clean? Can we keep it clean and green off of turn number 2? They're already going to try to go 4 wide off turn 2, and there we go, down the back straightaway. Who's going to be able to keep it clean? Who's going to not make contact? 3 wide still, and here comes Yarashak with a head of steam.
Yarashak with a big run on the outside. Falkingham still in control of this. One truck sideways. Oh, contact with Harrison. Garza hard in the wall in the middle of 3 and 4, and that brings out the second green-white checker attempt.
Yeah, that again came down to drivers just getting a little too greedy through 3 and 4 this time, not listening to those spotters and giving some space when a car is down below you. And, well, that's what happens here on these restarts, especially when it gets down to the green-white checkers. All you got to do is get to that white flag. It sounds really simple, but trying to get, I mean, we said it before, trying to get 20-some drivers to not race each other is a lot easier said than done.
Adam Garza is the one who gets involved with this, and there's a bit of pinball between Jimmy Holmes and Bradley Erickson, as you'll see. There's Holmes into Erickson, into Garza, who gets a little bit of help from Connor Berkey and ends up at the wall, but Holmes making the contact with Erickson started that chain of events that ended with Garza in the fence.
It's going to be interesting. A tough break there for Garza, who is looking to have a good top 10 finish possibly in the works for him. But re-rack him, restack him, and try again.
Big break for some of the drivers who have needed to get their trucks fixed up. I think of like a Nick Miller who's got some damage. Jeremy Burns had a little bit. Jake Innish has tons of damage left from the wreck. So one more opportunity for them to potentially get their trucks fixed up and maybe give themselves an opportunity, you know. You might not necessarily win this race, but every point could matter in the end.
You know, I went back and looked and tried to see how Connor managed to make his way through. He didn't get away completely clean, had a little bit of contact. I didn't see who it was. They might not be too happy about it, but you know, as much as we thought it'd be difficult for Connor to get back into this, he's in the top 10.
Back up into the 9th position. So this the kind of drive that you look at, and maybe it's not going to be a win, but it might be the kind of drive that gets him the title when we get to Homestead Miami in April. A moment to remind you all that NASCAR 25 is now available on Steam, on PlayStation, and on Xbox too. And if you get the Gold Edition, it features the full base game and the Season Pass, which includes a variety of in-game currency and bonuses, as well as multiple DLC packs offering over 230 paint schemes and fire suits. You can visit NASCAR25.com for more information. I saw a shot of Michigan there just a little bit ago. Phoenix, the Roval, Lime Rock, Wilkesboro, Talladega, all tracks you can get your hands on in NASCAR 25, and a lot of fun that you can have on a console. Joe P.
Yeah, I love the breadth and width of tracks that they have out there. Very fun, and such a cool return for iRacing to come back to this franchise as well.
And also worth noting, we saw Rockingham make an appearance in footage as well. That's where we'll be for our next eNASCAR broadcast. Mentioned it earlier, the qualifying series going to round 3 of action next Tuesday night. While we're under yellow, let's go back to Taylor Burris. He's caught up with the UNC Charlotte 49er, Connor Trafari.
We're here with Connor Trafari, and I got to say, Connor, it's been a good run for both you and your teammate here for the UNC Charlotte 49ers. As we look ahead, how are we going to look forward for this final restart, hopefully?
Yeah, hopefully I can hang on. I know I have some brain damage here that's affecting me a little bit on the straightaways, but hopefully we can get one of us in the money. That'd be really nice. We haven't really had the best of luck here recently this season, especially in the features, but it'd be really cool to get one of us in the top 6 here.
Well, the good news is, as you're currently ahead of your UNOH drivers that you're heads up against this season as well, so it's going to be still a good start for you guys as you look ahead to the next round at Martinsville.
Oh, definitely. Definitely working on going to Martinsville.
We wish you the best of luck. Good luck to you on this restart.
Appreciate it.
Connor Trafari, who is going to roll from the 8th position on this second restart of potentially 3. So 2 more opportunities available for these drivers to finish this off. Falkingham and Zwack in control again. Falkingham's done a great job of keeping Zwack from being able to get a run on the outside on these initial starts. We'll see if Falkingham's restart prowess comes to the fore again, or whether or not we see some magic from Zwack on that outside line. Clampett and Timmy Holmes, 3rd and 4th, as we get set for, once again, maybe the last 2 laps of this race. Green flag is out. Good jump again for Falkingham, who immediately will get away. Zwack was able to hold, but only as far as keeping Logan Clampett to his inside. Everybody else continuing to push as they go back up to full song.
Almost looked like someone was going to try and dive under the white line for a brief moment. Ball State with a huge run as well, and clear track in front of him as Nanny dives up the middle, but up at the very front, Falkingham, he's got his restart. Now what's going to happen if they get to that white flag?
Can they get to the white flag in the middle of turns 3 and 4? They are fanning out 3 wide, 4 wide, a little bit further back as we come back to the start-finish line. Bradley Erickson gets loose in the fence. A little bit of a sandwich. Erickson's going to spin in front of everybody, and we stay green. So this is Falkingham versus Zwack into 1 for the last time.
We are official. It's now a heads-up fight for the finish here as Matthew Zwack's pushing Falkingham through the middle of the corner. Falkingham gets a good enough run. Can he keep it clean as they're 3 wide for 3rd?
1 shot and 1 opportunity for Matthew Zwack to hit the slider into 3 and 4. Falkingham drives low to defend it. Zwack now with the move all the way to the bottom. Falkingham going to the high lane, trying to keep it wound up and keep Zwack behind him. Here comes Zwack with a good run on the bottom. Falkingham gets a little bit loose out of the corner. He's still got Zwack underneath him, but he's going to get the run out of turn 4, and that will be it. Daniel Falkingham claims victory in the Great Lakes Gauntlet and takes home Tournament 4 of the 2025-26 eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
He seized every opportunity that he wanted and came out on the top step here today and held off the hometown hero.
Wow. Matthew Zwack had an opportunity, but just did not have enough. He was too far back to make that run work. Just didn't get the run he needed off of 2 to set up the send entering turn 3.
And him going low, unfortunately, bit him and cost him a couple points because it was Timmy Holmes who boosted around the outside and stole that second place from him right at the line by half a tenth.
Outside line proving his prowess one last time as we'll see Falkingham celebrate. We salute him with our winning moment of the evening, brought to you by Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Daniel Falkingham victorious in the College Series and victorious for the first time since Daytona in 2023 and then Michigan in 2024. So his second win here in the Irish Hills in College Series competition of his career. And a big moment for Daniel Falkingham, who got the job done over Timmy Holmes and Matthew Zwack. Logan Clampett ends up fourth. Connor Yarashak was as deep as 19th in this field before we got to the green-white checkers. Damage control for the University of Calgary Dino, who ends up seventh at the end of the Great Lakes Gauntlet.
As we move ahead, we have Lane Graves, Parker White, up tough break for him. He'll come home P12. Carson Bauer, Shapiro, Miller, Bradley, Jake Inez, Scott Bradley Erickson, a tough break for him, and Connor Chafari also had a lot of hard work with Blake Wynn, the last car on the lead lap.
Amazingly, had a few cars that just about made it to the finish, but then on some of those restarts, such as Garza and Evans, still caught up, and yet more incidents racking up a DNF today. Sounds like we've got Daniel Falkingham ready to chat with us, so let's check in. Daniel, it seems like you're a bit of a specialist here. Multiple wins now at the Irish Hills. What is it about this place that jives with you?
I'm not sure, man. Just what there's a lot of draft. Really, anybody can win, and you race it like a super speedway in a way. Just trying to control the lanes, trying to control the draft at the end of the restarts, or on those restarts at the end of the race. Which I mean, I feel like super speedway racing is kind of like my specialty these days. So I was just trying to manage those lanes on the restarts and just trying to get through traffic. I just felt really good, and I just feel really comfortable here. But yeah, something about this place. Our second win here. This was my last college win 2 years ago. So probably should have won here last year as well, but I just didn't have some stuff go our way. But just feels good to win in this series again, man, because it's been a while and I don't got too much time left over here. So definitely enjoying these wins whenever I can get them, and it's really hard to win these races with the quality of drivers that are showing up every week. So just awesome to win again, man, because like that, just so hard, and it just feels good to be in the winner's circle.
Making hay while the sun shines. Talk about turns 3 and 4 on that last lap, though. We saw you leave a little bit of space at the bottom. How confident did you feel that Zwack was not going to be able to get by?
Yeah, I thought I had enough of a gap coming off too, just trying to block him in dirty air and stuff, but just the draft is just so strong with these trucks, with the truck packs we have these days. So I saw him have a run, but if I try to block it, I probably wreck myself, or I get moved out of the way, or if he gets all over my rear bumper, it just gets me really loose, just because when you get up behind somebody in these trucks, it just makes them really, really loose. So I feel like it was better off to just let him go underneath and to try to beat him off the corner, because I could carry momentum way more, especially with more banking in the middle. And thankfully, Timmy, he was right there to give me a push when I needed it too. So yeah, just glad it all worked out in the end. I'm glad we could get a win, and yeah, just definitely had my blood pumping there at the end, but just feels good we could hold them all off, because those restarts were getting annoying. I was like, can we just finish this thing? But glad we were able to get the job done.
Finally, you did. Well, some impressive foresight heading into those last couple laps that helped get you the win. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys, and shout out to UMM.
That was Daniel Falkingham taking the victory. In the meantime, sounds like Taylor has caught up with Timothy Holmes.
We are here with Timothy Holmes. Timmy, I got to say, a great little run for you at the end. Almost came home with the win. Walk us through that final lap, as you definitely had a fight off Matthew Zwack for that second spot.
I was in third, so I really just had to kind of ride and hope they got together. And, they kept it clean most of the race. So I didn't think he was going to do anything too crazy. But, yeah, I mean, I had a couple different moves I could have made, but I felt like I did the right thing. He just kind of pinned me up on the front stretch coming to the line, and I couldn't go anywhere. But, yeah, second ain't too bad.
No, it certainly is not, and we look forward to seeing you over at Martinsville, hopefully, for the next round for the Old Dominion Classic.
Thank you.
And, of course, we also have one more driver joining us up here in the booth for our podium finishers. It is the driver of Matthew Zwack. Matthew, so close to try to bring home another hometown win for you and the University of Michigan. What was it that you were missing?
Track position. Honestly, I don't know. I think I lost the race on pit road when Dan got me on like the pit stop because I couldn't do anything from there. I mean, I think I was too scared to make the move on the first lap just because if I didn't get clear, I thought I was going straight to the back. And looking back on it, I made the move as late as I could, and I don't think I ever had a chance to pass him. So it is what it is. I mean, I'll take a P3. It's not the defense that I wanted and going back to back, but I can't complain.
Absolutely. We wish you the best of luck. We hope to see you at the next round at Martinsville.
Thank you very much.
And now Joe Peak has picked up Jake Inez and the Belmont Abbey crew.
Exactly, Jake. It's not just that you have a cheerleading squad with you there, but apparently you have a team helping you build a rig. Talk to us about how this has affected you getting to race and your abilities out there being in this new sim rig.
Tell you what, these people right next to me, all clapping. I mean, without them, I don't know where I'd be right now. They give me the morale to keep doing these races. They help no matter what. And without them, I would not be here right now. I have a huge smile on my face. I don't care where I finish. But racing for them, racing for my family, my parents, everyone watching these races every night really makes me keep doing this. And we built the sim rig back here, and we spent about 8 hours building this thing, and we finally got it done. I gotta give a huge thank you to Dr. Cunningham for what he's done. He's done so much to get this going, and I just can't give him enough credit for what he's done.
Well, you needed some of that good morale today because you had to limp across the line a little bit. But I guess the good news is you've learned how to race with a damaged car tonight, because I imagine you're going to need that knowledge at Martinsville.
Yeah, Martinsville is going to be an interesting one. We're going from a 2.5 mile track in Michigan to a 1/2 mile track in Martinsville. So it's going to be interesting, especially with no yellows. We'll see what happens with a couple crashes and see if people can get off the racing line. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Hope, I would be able to win Martinsville next time we go out and be back here in the booth. But I really appreciate you guys for putting me in here tonight.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and also thank you for letting us see your team behind the scenes cheering you on the whole way. It's been fun to watch. And, well, as you see, James, the drivers can't do this alone.
No, they really can't. And I thought that was a great example of what the college series can mean, not only to these drivers, but to some of the bigger programs like the Belmont Abbeys, like the UNC Charlottes, like the University of Northwestern Ohio's, those that are really trying to build up programs and not just support individual drivers. This can get really, really big really quick. So neat to see what they're building down in Belmont, and neat to see what we saw tonight on the track, Taylor, with Daniel Falkingham get the job done.
Absolutely, and as a matter of fact, here's take a quick look at your point standings. Connor Yarashak kind of helped stop the bleeding a little bit with him coming home with a top 10 finish, whereby it's a 15-point lead over Logan Clampett. Clampett doing what he needs to do, just getting those good finishes to help him guarantee. And how about Timmy Holmes? He was outside the top 15 at one point. He's now looking on the outside, looking in for a top 10 finish in the championship.
Here's the wild thing: for as much as this almost was an opportunity for Logan Clampett, he only gained 3 points on Yarashak when all the dust settled in this tournament, Joe Peak. That's a big drive from Yarashak. That's not the biggest story, but definitely one I think we're going to have to keep an eye on as we get to Martinsville and Homestead to round out the season.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, and it went from, 19 points to 15. So, yeah, this is a great testament that in racing, even if you can't get the win, you can't give up. You got to keep pushing. You got to see the checkered flag, get as many points as you can.
That gap was as low as 4 points at one point during this race. So a big drive from the University of Calgary Dinosaur to get his points lead back up to something substantial enough to where you get a Martinsville, and it's pretty much the same story that we've been looking at. Who's going to run down Connor Yarashak, but also what can we expect from Martinsville, because this is a complete unknown, Taylor.
I mean, one thing I can say for certain, the Chrome Horn is going to be coming out for sure for drivers who are on the outside looking in to try to get into those transfer positions next time we come back out here. It is going to be a great opportunity, but it's going to be a little bit more chaotic and wild.
Very, very chaotic and wild. And the only short track on the calendar too, Joe Peak. So how does that factor into things? Because that makes it completely different from everything else we've seen this season.
Well, if you're one that isn't into the bigger tracks, then this is a great opportunity. If you're so close to being, on the verge of on that championship hunt, you got to use this as your chance to really make good inroads. And let's be honest, there are some drivers who just are short track specialists out there that it just clicks with them. So yeah, you're going to see maybe a few different drivers up front.
It's been a decade since we've seen this on an eNASCAR schedule of any form. 10 years since Martinsville has been a part of any eNASCAR competition. So this is different for everybody. Even the drivers with Coke Series experience, they're going to see something new. And speaking of the Coke Series, we've got the third round of eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series qualifying coming your way next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern from The Rock, featuring the vehicles, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. You'll see that broadcast on eNASCAR.com/live. Pre-race at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. All sorts of fun going to be had as we look to the third race on the calendar, as we continue to see who is going to fight their way to the top and to the Coke Series later this year. For everyone here at iRacing, for our wonderful team behind the scenes, led by Drew Adamson, for our partners at eNASCAR, the Play vs. College League, and Logitech G, and for my colleagues in the booth, Taylor Burris and Joe Peak, I am James Pike. Thank you so much for watching the Great Lakes Gauntlet from Michigan International Speedway. Congratulations to the winner of tournament number 4 in the 2025-26 eNASCAR College Series, Daniel Falkenham, and we will see you in March from the Paperclip as Martinsville and the Old Dominion Classic await us next in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Play vs. College League.